Hey everybody, Renegade 67 and/or 8 here with some more Let's Stream Play Fate Stay Night of the Blind Variety. Last time on Fate Stay Night, fan service, except not. No. Wait, this isn't even the right. No, we're supposed to be over here, but we're not going to be there for a second because I want to talk about this because it's on my mind. The term is fan service. The idea is that the fans are supposed to be serviced by it. I see a lot of people complain about the fan service and be like, there's too much fan service, I don't like it. And I'm like, but it's fan service. Are you not a fan who is being serviced? Clearly you're not a fan if you're not being serviced. I don't know. I was just thinking about the terminology. I mean, I get it. I too can sometimes see what I think is supposed to be fan service and be like, ooh, that's done wrong. But the people that are like, any fan service is bad, no boobs, no tits, clearly you're not the fan in question then. Other fans, though, are being serviced. Let them be serviced. Anyways.
いいけど何よ
Fine, what is it? Right, so, I was gonna do more on Monday, but I didn't, so I took a longer break than I wanted to. Because of this, what is happening? Right, okay, so Saber and Elia were bonding. Only if you like perv stuff or Marvel references. Marvel references? What the heck does that have to do with being a perv? Serve my device meant to keep cool. Serve my device? Like serving as in serving a cold drink? Okay. But yeah, okay, so Saber, right. So Saber's still having issues. And so Saber and Elia were bonding, and Elia's like, normally I wouldn't let people touch me, but you're pretty, so I'll allow it. So they're bonding for when Shiro dies, and, Elia takes Saber over. So that's cool. Something is nagging in the back of my head. I am happier if you're smiling. Yeah, with that smile I saw for the first time, she was saying something entirely. Right, that's right. And then Saber was all like, hey, Shiro, you should not be bad. And that's right, they had the whole talk with each other about how Saber's like, hey, Shiro, don't hate yourself. And then Shiro's like, you don't hate yourself. And then they had like the self-realizations. But Saber is still being kind of weird around me. But I'm also now being weird around her because I had dreams of her. So our training is only getting worse and worse because we're liking each other more and more. Right, and we performed a fake medical examination. What's the point of a fake medical examination? I listened to the rain. Oh shit, there's rain? I didn't realize that before. Rain generally means, that's narrative shorthand for someone's gonna die today. But I think we're still in the happy-go-lucky mood, but maybe this is narrative shorthand for we're about to get serious again. Performed a fake physical exam like yesterday. I just took the medicine Tosaka prepared for me and checked the magic circuit throughout the body. What's the point of this? No, Rin wanted to talk to me about something, I think. Right? Because, she doesn't have anything more to teach me, but she wants to talk to me about something? Ilya's just going to die in the back? No! How dare you? I don't care about that, but I don't want to just sit here doing nothing. She told me not to move for a while to see the results, but I bet I can still talk. Tosaka, may I call out to her still meditating? You're Shiro meditating? What the heck does that look like? Is Shiro calm enough to meditate? Maybe. Fine, what is it?
セイバーのことなんだけど、
It's about Saber.
なんて言ったらいいかわからないんだが、
I don't know how I should put this, but saying that, I realize I haven't thought this through at all. What you haven't thought through at all? Oh, right, you don't think ahead. That sounds very Shiro-esque. It's not even what can I do for Saber. What is it? I haven't even thought about what I want to do with Saber. Oh, what you want to do with Saber? I want to do with Saber.
その、あいつ何がしたいのかなって。
I'm just wondering what she wants to do. Oh, you mean you're wondering about her wish, and instead of asking her, you're asking Rin? That does seem kind of odd. I guess because you feel too weird about it now that you like her and stuff.
考えてみれば、あいつが自分から何かやるって今までなかっただろ?
And think of it, she never did anything because she wanted to, right? So, and it seems like you weren't either, just like how you don't have a wish. How to make Saber happy, right? Whereas Saber right now seems to just be, well, it's at least with Saber, she wants to make more than just Shiro happy. She also wants to make, all of her, people, give them a second chance or whatever. Something, something, something. Shiro hasn't, quite grown to that level yet. He's not that big of a superhero king person. How to be Saba's waifu? I think Shiro's gonna have a hard time being Saba's waifu. I think he needs to aspire to be the husbando.
セイバーが何を考えているかわからない？
You don't know what Saber's thinking about?
いや、そういうわけじゃないんだ。ただ、あんまりにも無欲すぎるのがわからない。
No, that's not it. I just don't understand why she's so unselfish. Pot? Hey, have you met Kettle?
そう、そこがどうするべきなのかわからないんだ。
I don't know what to do about that.
まあそうよね。セイバーが自発的にやったことってあんたを守ることだけだもの。サーバントとしては当たり前だけど、あそこまで徹底しているとわからなくもなるわ。
Well, you're right. The only thing she's done voluntarily is protecting you. It's only natural for a servant to do that, but it's hard to understand when it's so thorough. But it's not so thorough, because she did disobey you the one time to go fight frickin' assassin, because she's all giddy or whatever, because she couldn't wait around, she wanted her wish. That, if anything, I think would be the tip-off that something is amiss, but... Saber's actually been in the king role. Shiro has not been in the super role for that long. Shiro is always housewaifu. Okay, that's fair.
でも、だからといって無欲ってわけはないでしょ？
Doesn't mean she's totally unselfish. She did a selfish thing when she went to fight Assassin, which I will never fucking let down. That will always be the thing. Well, there's a trope for that. I think it's just called Never Live It Down. And for me, personally, she's never living that down.
セイバーだって自分の目的のためにあなたを守っているんだから。
Because Saber's protecting you for her own objectives. But, I mean, that's what it was in the past. Now she's also protecting you because she, thinks you're hot and stuff. And you touched her penis. Her dragon penis. So maybe she wants to touch your not dragon penis. Or is it also a dragon penis? Spoilers! Oh. That's right, I forgot about the reason she became a servant.
そうか。セイバーの目的は聖杯を手に入れることだもんな。目的がないってわけじゃないんだ。
I see. Saber's goal is to obtain the Holy Grail, so it's not like she has no objectives. It's weird that you're thinking about this late in the war, but, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've been over how dense Shiro is at this point, but 500 hours later. Remember when fucking Saber went to the fight at the temple? I mean, yeah, pretty much. Saber thinks redheads are hot? Redheads? Who in the cast even is a redhead? Oh, Shiro. I just don't think about it, because I never look at him. I was about to ask, who the fuck has red hair in this game? Nobody has red hair. Tosako wears red, but she doesn't have red hair. Same thing for, oh, right, Shiro. We never freaking look at Shiro, so. And that Holy Grail will grant the wishes of its predecessor. Or no, its possessor. And the possessor's possessor. Get it? Because the master possesses the servant, so it's like, Saber at least has a wish she wants granted. I don't know what it is, but it's a wish she wants granted, even if it means becoming a servant. Surely the wish must be to save herself. Are you joking? Have you been paying attention to her character at all? No, of course not. You're fucking stupid. Is your wish to save yourself? No. If anything, her wish is to save you. Have you not noticed how alike you two are yet? God. Saber's noticed. Shiro, you're so dumb. Shiro isn't the typical VN protagonist. Yeah. He has red hair and golden eyes instead of just black hair and dark eyes. Yeah, because usually the protagonist is an everyman. Shiro, he's a bit too stupid to be an everyman. Yeah, it's true. His design is definitely more unique than I'm used to with, a protagonist, especially one that you normally don't see. That's the interesting thing, is that for a protagonist that you don't see for so much of the game, he's got a pretty darn interesting design, which is kind of, interesting to think about. But I guess that is part of just to say that, yeah, he is unique. And, it's more than just him being kind of stupid. He's got some kind of super evil secret side to him, clearly. Well, at least super powerful. Possibly evil. That part I'm unsure about. But yeah, for example, she's here in this time so she can stay here and live a second life with the power of the Holy Grail. Oh my god, you see that's the kind of thing that you might want for her. I was thinking for a while back at this point you might wish for her to be like that. That is not even close to her wish. And if you think that, then you have no grasp at all of her personality. We play as Taiga? Oh gosh. I mean, we've already played as Rin for a bit, so it would be interesting to see it from someone else's perspective, but it just seems, I don't know. There's, on the one hand, well, Rin we played as in the prologue, so maybe that signifies later on we will play as somebody else, and it'll be less jarring, because we did play as Rin at one point, or it's just like Rin was the prologue, and that's all there is to it, but because of how long the game is, I don't know. There have been interludes, but we've never really had interludes when Shiro is around. The interludes only exist for when Shiro's not around, which is different than what happened in the prologue, so... Shiro's a cookie? I don't get the joke. Rather, she has to go that far to make up for her sad end. I mean, you want her to go that far. Shiro loves thinking of people to deny his initial feelings he's running away from. Well, not quite, because, like, it's like she is like him, and he's saying that must be her wish. But if he realized that, then shouldn't he realize that that should be his wish? Because it's not at all.
なんだ、話は簡単じゃないか。
Oh, and this is all so easy. Is that really your thought process, Shiro? Is it, if we get the Grail, then she can be happy? Because of course her wish must be for herself, because my wish would be for her. But no, her wish is not for herself at all. If anything, you need the wish to be for her if you want something to be for her. And in fact, the fact that you haven't considered that your wish could be for her is in and of itself. Jeez. Shiro's voluntary dents 50% of the time. 50%? That's being generous.
気持ち悪いわね。いきなり元気になっちゃって。
You're weird,
今の
suddenly getting all that
話、そんな
energetic.
に面白かった？
Was the conversation that exciting? It was for him, I guess.
ああ、元気が出た。そうだよな。そうでなくちゃ、あそこま
Yeah,
で懸命
it
に
gave me
戦うもん
energy.
か。
Yeah, she wouldn't fight so hard unless it was for that. Oh my god. You're so stupid! Ah.
セイバーは何より自分の望みのために戦わなくちゃいけないんだから。
Saber has to fight for her own wishes. What about your wishes, Shiro? For fuck's sake! Do you fight for your own wishes? No, you don't! I nod to myself. God damn. It's ridiculous levels of stupidity. Which I guess we know, but it reaffirms it. It's nice to have the reaffirmation. I guess. Look at his whole friendship with Shinji. And when the table is flipped, he's just choking his friend out. Yeah, even after the fact, he still thinks of him as friend. It's like, you'd think that him calling him his friend is a way to ignore the anger issues he probably has with Shinji. But even after Shinji's dead and there's really no reason to hide his anger to himself, he still thinks of, Shinji was my friend. And like, God. Probably because he never had to fully go through it himself. He'd probably be thinking differently if he was the one who actually killed Shinji. But because he didn't, he can still distance himself from that. He still has not yet had to, you know, do the murking, so... Tosaka must have been shocked by my reaction.
エミヤくん、喜んでるところ悪いけど、それはあなたの早とちりよ。セイバーは自分のためになんか戦わないわ。
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. She's actually pointing it out. You know, I'm so used to Shiro thinking stupid things and nobody saying anything. But for once, we actually get a little bit of a, you know, a pushback. I'm sorry to interrupt while you're so happy, but you're wrong. Saber would not fight for herself. Yeah, Rin's definitely a better judge of character than Shiro is. Then again, Rin herself doesn't know very much what she wants. I mean, I guess she does know what she wants, just that what she wants is jumbled and doesn't really jive. She doesn't have a wish, but she knows that she doesn't have a wish, which is, I think, is a bit different from Shiro's whole thing.
あなただって分かってるんじゃない？セイバーはそういうタイプじゃないわ。彼女が聖杯を求める理由は決して自分のためじゃないって。
You know that too, right? Saber isn't like that. She doesn't seek the Holy Grail for her own benefit.
何を根拠に？
What are you basing that on? I can't finish. Oh, because you yourself know? Because you're denying it to yourself? Rin has known Saber long enough, doesn't have the self-hatred issues. Okay, yeah, she doesn't have self-hatred. She has other issues. That's fair. That's right. Her last moment was a lonely one because she had no wishes for herself. So Saber cannot be seeking her own salvation because she doesn't know it needs to be seeked. I mean, she could still, in theory, be seeking her own salvation, but if she was, she wouldn't be this adamant about it. It would definitely be a secondary motivation, not something she'd spend a wish on. Ellipses! Exclamation point. But still, I wanted to think that, so I distorted her personality for a moment. I was in love with the idea of you, Saber, but only when you like yourself. I hate it when you don't like yourself. Dash, dash, dash. Ellipses. The conversation stops. As soon as I start to think that the heavy silence will continue,
つまんない話だけどね。あーちゃんもあんたと似たようなことを言ってたわ。
it's boring, but Archer said the same things as you. Oh shit, we're bringing back up Archer. What do you mean the same things? In which way? Which part? Which part was the same? Archer's, I think, pretty smarter than Shiro. Although, we do have the idea that Archer used to be like Shiro. So you're saying you got that from having a dream of Archer when he was younger? Is that what you're talking about?
はアーチャーってあのアーチャー
Archer? You mean that Archer? I mean, when else would you use the term Archer? And like a Japanese person, like is Acha a term they would use very often? Actually, I'm curious. Hold on. I'm gonna G-show this. Acha. Acha. Stone the crows? That's an expression, huh? Oh, right. Acha-cha. I know that, yeah. But I'm looking for Archer. I don't think it's a real word. Hold on. Let me use katakana real quick. Acha. Is this a word? It is not a word. It's they're using it because they have to for the Holy Grail War. This does not seem like a real word. Anyways, she was the big dick archery club member. Yeah. Shiro denies things that are hard until he can't, especially with people he loves. I suppose. It's boring, but Archer's the same thing to you, huh? Archer? You mean that Archer?
そう。私もね、あいつに聞いたのよ。あんたの望みは何なのかって。
Yeah, I asked him what his wish was too. Uh-huh. And he didn't remember because of his memories, but then... wait, you asked him what you... But you don't have a fucking wish, so... I guess off screen you asked him because you figured, well, just because I'm weird doesn't mean everyone's weird. And what was his wish?
そしたらあいつ。
What do you
なんて
think
言っ
he
たと
said?
思う？
Oh, let me guess. He said something selfless because he's like Shiro deep down. Like he's cynical. So if anything, Archer is like a Kiritsugu type, where he's cynical, but still, if he can get his wish to come true, he'll wish for something hopeful or something.
あいつの望みって言われても困る。
It's no good asking me that. I don't know anything about him. You are him. As Archer said that we'd eventually be enemies, he made no effort to talk to me or Saber. But still. He was sarcastic a lot, but he wouldn't have a stupid objective. I mean, Shiro, I think your objective's pretty stupid, and he seems like he was like you in the past and hates that past self, which is why he's so cynical. So he might have a stupid objective if he got his chance with a wish. But you haven't gotten to the point of being cynical and knowing that there are things that need to be wished for, or something. If that's even the direction you're going in, it could just be another red herring and you're actually a Kirei. Is he an archer? Is he a saber? Or is he just a Kirei? Archer is the Kiritsugu type, while Shiro is the Kirei type? That's funny, yeah. Oh yeah, no wonder they would hate each other, actually. If you think of it like that.
これがね、聞いたら笑うわよ。望みは何よと聞いたら、あいつったらこう言ったの。
You'll laugh when you hear this. When I asked him what his wish was, he said this. What did he say? Are those scratches on your hands? Or is that just weird art design?
そうだな。恒久的な世界平和。
World peace! He is fucking Kiritsugu!
もう呆れを通り越して爆笑したわけ。
I just burst out laughing. What? Because he doesn't seem like the type? Well, apparently he is. Frickin' Shiro, though, he never even considered that. Even though he wants to be a superhero, world peace would be too easy. Because he wouldn't get the satisfaction of saving people just from a simple wish. He's not an actual person that wants to save people, because an actual person that wants to save people, not for the satisfaction, would obviously instantly jump to a wish that involves some sort of world peacing. I wonder if he said it before or after his memories. I mean, I'm pretty sure he got his memories back when he saw Saber. And I don't think we saw... And I'm pretty sure we saw all of Rin's talks with Archer until then, I think. So I'm pretty sure it would have been after the memories. I burst out laughing.
そしたらあいつやはり笑われたか。まあ他人の手による救いなど意味はない。今のは笑い話にしておこう。
Then he got
なんて
timid.
言っていじけちゃってさ。
Then he got timid and said, I knew you would laugh. Well, there's no meaning in salvation by the deeds of others. Let's just call this a funny story. I mean, if he doesn't succeed, then it's a funny story. But if he does, oh, what if that's her real... What if that's her new wish? What if Rin's new wish is gonna be world peace because that was Archer's wish, and it was like a... And now with Archer gone, she maybe is like, you know, I didn't have a wish, so if I succeed, I guess I might as well do his wish. Or something.
なんかね、ああいうやつだから英霊になんてなっちゃって、私みたいな小娘に刺激されちゃうんだなとか思ったわ。
I just thought he became a heroic spirit and got summoned by someone like me because that's the way he is. What, because you also want world peace? If you do, you don't have a good way of showing it. I mean, maybe, you know, you generally don't like, you know, harming, you know, people, but your wish was nothing. You just wanted to fight. That's like the opposite of world peace. So, I feel like, I don't get it. If you're supposed to summon someone like yourself, I don't think he's that much like you. Dash. I see. He didn't look like it, but he was a fine knight.
けどね、間違わないで。聖杯が本当に全ての願いを叶えるのなら、高級的な世界平和なんて最悪の願いよ。
But don't get me wrong, if the Holy Grail will truly grant any wish, permanent world peace is the worst wish ever. Did you really just say that? What a bitch! I don't, like, maybe from your perspective, it's just, you want to fight, so you would never want world peace. Sure, whatever, fine, but, I mean, if it truly can grant any wish, then I object, good madam, sir. I mean, I think if you can grant any wish and make it work to your benefit, then I don't think wishing for peace is the worst wish ever. I think the worst wish ever would be, I don't know, wishing the entire world stop existing. How about wishing every human being died? How about wishing Earth was imploded? You know, I think those would be worse. And the fact that you don't think of those as worse, that's what you jump to as the worst wish ever, it says a lot of fucked up things about your personality. Two sides of her. Tosaka, gotta fight for the Holy Grail, who loves boys and wants to live a normal life while being a good person. I suppose. She wants to be a generally good person and love boys, but also she's gotta fight. Worst wish would be, oh yeah, you know, the world implodes and everyone lives in eternal torment forever. It's a world of nightmares, which would be much worse than fucking world peace. Jeez.
要するに、それって何もないってことでしょ？争いのない世界なんて死んでるだけよ。物事は動いてないと腐るだけなんだから。
If that's... Wow, the fact that that's really your first thought is fucked as hell. It means there's nothing, right? A world without conflict is dead. If things aren't moving, all they do is rot. Wow. The fact that that's your way of thinking, that's ridiculous. And I would want no part in someone with a mindset like that. You know, because you're a freaking you're a fightaholic. You want to fight. You love the fight. Yeah, you're kind of a nice person who doesn't, you know, want to involve innocence and, you know, you want boys because you've got the hormones, but all you want to do is fucking fight. If that's your view of world peace, you're fucked. World peace, in a better light, would be, I don't know, let's say everyone could be happy and do what they want, and yeah, no conflict. There wouldn't need to be conflict, because everyone would be happy and get their way, you know. If someone, you know, didn't like how things were, they would have their own version. For example, if a wish is all-powerful, if you're like, I just want conflict, well, guess what? You can get a group of people together that all want conflict, put them together, and hey, you can all just fight in a sort of peaceful environment where no one dies, unless you want death, in which case, well, you're fucked up. If you're someone who wants death, then you're a fucked up person in the first place. Get out. Saber would disagree heavily. She fought so fucking hard just for 10 years of peace. Yeah, Saber, no wonder, even if Rin did summon Saber, she would get a different Saber, because Rin definitely, you know, that is such a fucked mindset. I mean, Shiro's pretty fucked up too, but that right there, the fact that that's where her mind goes, that is so gross. You agree with Rin? That's pretty fucked up in my opinion. If there was no conflict, nothing bad, then there would be no reason for anyone to do anything. No. Okay, listen. There's no reason for anyone to do anything already. Life is meaningless. There's no meaning. If we're being real, it's just about, you know, having enough money to do what you want and have fun, and you gotta work for that money and spend all your life working in a terrible situation. But, you know, fighting and dying early and having brutal injuries, that's not better than a world where just everyone, in a theoretical world where there was unlimited resources, if that could somehow happen with your wish, people could, you know, get anything they want. They would, you know, they wouldn't have to work. They could just have fun. They could do things, you know. And, you know, it's like, there is a certain mentality of, oh, well, what if, you know, if nobody worked, there'd be no doctors. But if the wish could give proper world peace... Ah, fuck, I banged my mic. Oops. If the wish could give proper world peace, then there wouldn't need to be doctors, because they would just, you know... The world would sort itself out. And any problem you can think of, the Grail could potentially give a solution to, in theory. Like, I feel like that's the mindset you would want to be going from if you want world peace, really. World peace doesn't mean no conflict. You have fun with that conflict, and it's still peaceful. And yeah, you can still have fun conflict, I suppose. There would still, even if there was world peace, there could be competing. Like, people competing for being a better cook, or people competing for, you know, advancing science, people competing for... You'd still compete. It just wouldn't be fights to the death and all that. I'm sorry, but that mentality is so fucked. I thought she was fucked when she said she had no wish, and now that I've heard this line from her, that, like, double fucked. I think she's the most fucked individual. And... I gotta save her with my penis. Maybe. If I'm not too busy banging Saber, I guess. Seems like a lot to ask for a device that humans can't even envision such a world. But yeah, if it's the Grail... Like, some people like conflict. Not everyone likes conflict. You say if there's no conflict, nothing bad, there'd be no reason, everything becomes meaningless. Everything's already fucking meaningless. Sorry, I'm just reading Tom's earlier comment again, because I only reacted to it partway through. Unless everyone just stops and rots, the day there is no conflict is the day the world ends. The world ends. What does the world ending even mean? Unless reincarnation is a thing, y'all only have one life, and when you die, your world fucking ends. Anyways, this is kind of, you know, kind of heavy shit, but, you know. World peace being the worst wish is, like, the most fucked up thing. Oh my gosh, Rin, you're so fucked. Did you say that to Archer as well? God, you freaking fight-aholic. All you want is the fucking fight. You probably haven't even thought of life after the fight. Even if you set out down with Shiro, would that be enough? Would that be enough for you not to go out and fucking fight more people? Because all you want is to fucking fight? Not everyone wants conflict. Some people do, but not everyone does. Like, there obviously are going to be people that want conflict, and conflict can come, but not everyone does. The idea that everyone wants conflict is just factually wrong.
言ったわよ。そしたらあいつ、それが賢者の考えだ。
I did, and he said that is how the wise think. The wise fools? Oh fuck. I'm sorry, which part? The fact that that's how Archer thinks? Or that world peace being a terrible wish is just... What, you mean Rin is wise? Because I heavily disagree with that sentiment. Like, I agree that, you know, in today's society, it's never really achievable. But if we had an actual wish granter that actual granted real wish and wasn't bullshitting on its wishes, it could be done. If the sky's the limit on the wishes, if more than the sky's the limit, it could totally be fucking done. If you don't think so, you're just fucking defeatist. Or you have a limited mindset. The main argument against world peace is that it's basically mass mind control. No, it wouldn't be! Most people don't want to fight! There are usually just some people at the top that are fucked, or there's differing morals, and they it's... Generally, conflicts come about because of really stupid things. And they escalate because, well, they started it, or it's already started, and stopping is going to be awkward, generally. Oh, that's right, Archer wasn't the command spell. Couldn't disagree with Rin because it would hurt him, that's right. Argument against world peace is that it's basically mass mind control. I don't agree with that idea at all. Like, you know, I've seen some narratives, I think we all have at this point, maybe not, where there's a bad guy, and the bad guy's goal is to brain control the whole world into, like, not fighting, and get world peace that way. And they have to stop them so that people have their free wills. And I agree that having free will is better than, you know, generally is better than mind controlling everyone into not fighting. Generally, that's true. But it wouldn't be mind control with the way the Grail would work. Theoretically speaking, if it is super all-powerful. But yeah. Anyways.
私も同意見だが、今でもこれだけは愚者の夢を守っているのだ。だってさ。
I feel the same way, but I'm still chasing a foolish dream. Huh.
まあ、それはいいから、それじゃあ他の望みはあるのかって言ったら、あるにはあるが、聖杯で叶えるほどのものでもなし、私の分は君に譲ろうとかなんとか。
Well, I asked him if he had any other wishes, and he said something like, I do, but it's not a wish to use the Holy Grail on. I do, but it's not a wish to use the Holy Grail on. What, a wish for Rin to win, or what do you mean? Or a wish related to Saber? Mm-hmm. I shall let you grant your wish in my place. But Rin doesn't have a fucking wish. You already went over that. What would be the point of having other wishes? If your wish is world peace, that's kind of all-encompassing. I mean, sure, you could have sort of a selfish wish, like, you know, help my, you know, family, or make me rich or something. And I suppose having world peace doesn't mean you're gonna be rich or whatever, but...
キザでしょ？あいつ、きっと生前は女ったらしだったに違いないわ。
He was so snobbish, right? I bet he was a skirt chaser when he was alive. Fucking heck. That's funny! That's fucking funny, because Kiritsugu was a bit of a ladies' man, right? That was a thing, and he passed on his ladies' tendencies a little bit to Shiro. And, like, Archer's seeming a lot like Kiritsugu. Is that important? Maybe I was thinking Archer was actually Shiro from the future, but maybe Archer's actually Kiritsugu from the future. Kiritsugu didn't actually die, his spirit moved into the past, and then he took over Archer. Ugh.
なんかそんなイメージはなかったけどな。けどその話がどうかしたのか。 どう
I
ぞ。
didn't get that impression of him, so what about it? That's so fucking funny. Because Shiro, like, he hated Archer's guts. But really, Archer's a lot like what Kiritsugu was like before he got his development into just, you know, accepting the, you know, small happiness of being with Shiro. And so it's like Shiro would have hated Kiritsugu if he knew what Kiritsugu was like beforehand. It's an interesting thought. Because at first there was the idea that Archer was like a Shiro after some time. But then there's the idea that, well, what if it's like a whole cycle of like it goes Shiro, then Archer, then Kiritsugu. It's like Archer hated his past, but then he regressed into being Kiritsugu. It's like a whole life cycle there. It's like Shiro is the past, Archer is the present, Kiritsugu is the future? Or something like that. Ugh. Nothing, I just meant that they're all different kinds of servants, just like how they're all different kinds of masters. Like ones who think world peace is a terrible idea, and it's the worst wish imaginable. You picked that as the worst wish, that is so fucked. Oh, I see. I see. Well, I think it's a good reference, so it did help me out a bit. God, the fact that you're such a lost individual, you're so dumb, and you're seeking help from Rin, who's already so fucked, but she's more adamant in her fuckery, so she's passing her fuckery on to you. Well, then now it's my turn. We know the evolution line is like this. Young Archer, post-fire Kiritsugu, and wait, Shiro... Okay, you lost me. Wait, okay, so young Archer to post-fire Kiritsugu. Oh, because young Archer would be Shiro and Archer would be Kiritsugu. To post-fire Kiritsugu and Shiro, non-dense Shiro, to Kirei. Oh, wait, what? Where does the Kirei come from? Maybe Kirei is an alternate turn? Like he could go down the Kiritsugu path? Maybe that's why Kirei and Kiritsugu hated each other so much, because they both came from the same leaf. And then Goku, of course. We gotta throw Goku in there somewhere. Now it's my turn. It's 2 evolution lines. Of course, it's like Digimon. Or something, you know. If you treat your kid, you treat your baby Pokemon correctly, they turn into a Charizard. But if you treat them wrong, they turn into a Farfetch'd. Well then, now it's my turn. Oh, okay, so you're not saying branching evolution, you're saying 2 different evolutions. It could be branching evolution, or it could be the Archer Kiritsugu and the Shiro Kirei. That's also a possibility. But it could be a branch, and if it is a branch, then hopefully Shiro doesn't go down the Kirei branch. But the Kiritsugu branch isn't very happy either. He's got to find a third option. I'm going to talk about Saber as well, though. Okay, what do you have to say? I don't know if your opinions are valid to you anymore, given what you fucking said about your thoughts on world peace. God.
そういえば朝方言ってたな。話したいことがあるとかなんとか。
Oh yeah, you were saying this morning that you wanted to talk to me about something.
大したことじゃないんだけど、少し気になって。
It's nothing big, but I'm just wondering about it. Who do you want to bone? Or what? Do you want to bone Saber?
今更になるんだけど、エミヤ君はアーサー王の伝説を知ってる？
Do you know the legend of King Arthur? Well, I have it in my status, which I think is based on the book you gave me, and I've also been seeing her dreams, so I think roughly. Oh yeah, that's also... I love the expanded universe about how this eventually gets tied to Dragon Ball, of course. Because in the future, Shiro becomes Goku? I don't know. I mean, I don't even think Shiro's that dumb. Then again, Goku's a lot smarter in battle, but... And then Kira's the original Goku? Okay, now you're messing with me. The Legend of King Arthur. I've had it forced upon me more than once in the past few days. Yaha.
人並みには知ってる。まあ、朝王が女の子だったなんてことは知らなかったが。
I know what most people do. Well, I didn't know that King Arthur was actually a girl. I think most people don't know that.
そうね。けど性別に関してはどうでもいいのよ。
Sex doesn't matter here. Wait, then what are you talking about? I think it really does, especially for our saber.
別にアーサー王が女の子だったとしても伝説そのものに変更を加える必要はないでしょ。アーサー王が周りの人間を騙し通していれば女性であっても男性として扱われるんだから。
Even if King Arthur was a girl, it makes no difference to the legend. If King Arthur hid the fact from everyone around her, she'd be treated as a man even if she wasn't. It's not that simple. If she was actually a girl, rumors would have fly. People would have been like, "You're Bashonen." It would have, things would have spread. Her being a girl does matter, even if the people saw, were tricked into believing it's a guy. I think some people, there would have been rumors for sure. Saber loves eating. Shiro is dumb. Combine them and it's Goku. Combine them, well, if you have to get the dragon involved, Dragon Ball. Oh, that's kind of funny. We just got to get Saber's dragon to eat Shiro's, and then they combine and become Goku, I guess. Fusion dance in the sex of their soul. The mots.
幸いアーサー王にはマーリンっていう魔術師がついてたしね。インキュバスとの根血だっていう悪魔じめたやつだからアーサー王の性別を偽装したり生まれないはずの子供を用意するってのもお手の物だったんでしょ。
Fortunately, King Arthur had a magus called Merlin. He was a crossbreed with an incubus. Okay, this is the first time hearing this. Crossbreed with an incubus? It must have been a piece of cake for him to disguise King Arthur's sex, or to arrange for a child that should never have been born. Arrange for a child that should never have been born? Are you saying Saber should have never been born? What are you fucking talking about, woman? Also, pretty sure it wouldn't be as simple as Arthur is Merlin. Sorry, Arthur is Merlin. Archer is Merlin. For one thing, I'm pretty sure there was a talking point in the backstory that was like, oh, he's a magus, but he's not Merlin. I think, unless that was a mistranslation. But also, it seems like Ilya had no idea who it was. Whereas, I feel like if you know about Arthur, and everyone seems to know about Arthur, you know about Merlin too. So, and also the fact that he was such a vicious killer, and he had archery, that feels very un-Merlin-esque. So if he is Merlin, he's some weird alternate timeline badass Merlin. In the original myth, Arthur had a son. There's one interpretation. I know there's a movie that came out where, like, Lancelot got married to Arthur's daughter or something like that. I bet. So? But what does this have to do with a secret child? Because Arthur definitely... If you mean Saber has a kid, that's the first we're hearing of this, because Saber is pretty young. Does she even have... Did she age to the point of... Because, like, it stopped her aging, the sword. She does not look old enough... I don't know. Maybe just barely. She might be just barely old enough to have the, I forget the technical term, but to have the ability to give birth. I'm not sure if the sword stopped her from aging to that point. Although, even if she did have a kid, she would have to have a kid with a guy. Are we saying she had a kid with Archer? Because, if that's the case, I think Saber would remember Archer. I'm pretty sure that would be something that would be memorable to her. Or, just having a kid in general would completely change Saber's outlook, I'm pretty sure. Unless, a child that should never be born. Unless you mean it was like a secret kid? I mean, I guess if it was a secret kid, but a secret from even Saber? I'm confused. Is that where we're going with this?
だから私が問題にしているのは伝説と今のセイバーの食い違いよ。
What concerns me is the discrepancy between the legend and Saber. Sure, but we already know that he was tricked into being a boy or whatever, or pretended to be a boy.
ねえエミヤくん、あなたはエクスカリバーがどういうものか知っていて？
Emiya-kun, do you know what Excalibur is? It's the super fancy sword that Saber used to cut, Ryder in half.
なんだよ今さら。エクスカリバーって言ったらアーサー王の代名詞だろ。妖精に授かった剣で 切れないものはなく刃こぼれもしないっていう名
Why
言
ask
だ。
now? Excalibur is the symbol of King Arthur. It's a great sword, a gift from the fairies that can cut through anything.
やっぱりそんなことだろうと思ったわ。
That's what I thought. What? Because that's what Saber told us, and you're about to tell me that that's wrong and that your knowledge of it is different? Because you know of a Merlin from a different time, or a Merlin from a different timeline that became Archer? Because of your time displacement or whatever? Where Archer became a badass in that world line, but not in this one? For some reason, Tosaka acts like she's won. Okay.
俺なんかおかしなこと言ったか？
Did I say something strange?
言ったわよ。あなたもアーサー王と同じ間違いをしたってこと。マーリンがいたら未熟者ってどやされてるわ。
You did, and that means you made the same mistake as King Arthur. If Merlin was here, he'd yell at you for being foolish. Wait, so are we saying the sword didn't come from the fairies? Hold on, which part was the mistake? Excalibur's symbol of King Arthur. It's a great sword, a gift from the fairies. So you're saying it's not from the fairies? That Merlin made it? Or what are you talking about? Same mistake as... So Saber was lied to all her life by Merlin? Or by someone else and Merlin found out about it?
だからなんでさ。
Why?
岩に刺さった剣ってのはエクスカリバーじゃないんだよな。あっちの剣は途中で折れてしまって、その後に湖の妖精から譲り受けた剣があって、それがエクスカリバーなんだろ?
The fact that you know so much about this means you probably learned it from Archer. So Archer, it's seeming more and more likely that Archer is Merlin, but probably Merlin from a different timeline would be my guess? Because you seem to be acting like Saber never realized the truth, but I feel like it's more than that, because no one knows who the fuck this Archer is. Like, they're looking at him, it's like, I have no idea who this is! Unless he's like the master of secrets, because you're talking about how he apparently covered something up from Saber, so maybe he was able to cover up how badass he was? The sword on the stone wasn't Excalibur, right? That sword broke. He later received a sword from the Lady of the Lake, and that was Excalibur, right?
そうそう。エクスカリバーをアーサー王が受け取った時にね。
When
マーリ
King
ンはこ
Arthur...
う問いかけるの。
When King Arthur received Excalibur, Merlin asked this question.
ほうよ。あなたがお気に召したのはどちらの方ですかな?
Your Highness, which do you like better? What, you mean between Excalibur and Caliburn? Ugh.
剣か、それとも鞘ですか?
The sword or the sheath? I mean, generally speaking, the sword is better.
アーサー王はためらいもなく剣の方だと答えるんだけど、マーリンは叱責するの。
Yeah, that was a cute old man Rin voice. King Arthur answers him without hesitation that he likes the sword, but Merlin scolds him. I mean, I get it, the sheath can be used for offense and defense, but so can the sword? I'm a little confused.
お間違えめさるな。剣は敵を撃つものですが、鞘はあなたを守るもの。その鞘を身につけている限り、あなたは血を流すこともなく、負傷することもない。
Please make no
真
mistake
に
here.
大事とすべきは剣ではなく鞘なので
The
す。
sword slashes the enemy, but the sheath protects you. As long as you have the sheath on you, you will spill no blood and take no wounds. You should truly value the sheath, not the sword. That's some metaphorical bullshit right there. Like, the sword can block attacks too. Generally better than the sheath, depends on how strong the sheath is, I guess. The sheath generally is just there to put the sword away so it doesn't harm anything when it's not being used. So you have a good, convenient place to put it away. I feel like the sword being better is just generally the correct answer unless you have some, you're just going for a metaphorical BS here. Or you have some supernatural sword with an overpowered sheath. Dash ellipses. Ellipses. Why are you getting all bent up, Rin? The sheath literally, What, battle immortality, or is Merlin just being a vague old man? Oh, what? So you're saying that, but she still got to keep Excalibur. I mean, I don't know. Unless you're saying that, Merlin being a vague old man. Seems to me, based on what Rin's saying, that Excalibur was like some kind of tomfoolery, where Excalibur wasn't a real Excalibur, and like Merlin, when he got the sword from the lake, it wasn't really from the lake, or like Merlin imbued it with BS, and when you chose the sheath, you got the sheath and turned the sheath into a sword sheath, because if she chose the sword, it would just be a thing to kill people. Maybe the correct answer is the sheath, because Saber's goal is not to kill others, but to protect her country, so therefore the sheath is correct in a metaphorical, silly sense? Tom's tomfoolery. Tosaka imitates King Arthur and Merlin skillfully. Does she? If she's imitating Merlin, and it's distinct from Archer, then that also says that Merlin's not Archer. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom's Tom. I didn't mean you. I meant the other Tom's Tom. Number 1, not number 2.
気合入ってるな、トサカ。
You're pretty into this, Tosaka. Have you considered getting into the theater?
それで、お前何が言いたいんだ?
So what are you trying to say?
何ってここまで聞いてわからない？つまりアーサー王は不死者なの。エクスカリバーっていうのは攻守ともに無敵の宝具なのよ。
You don't understand when I've told you this much? In other words, King Arthur is immortal. Yeah, but King Arthur died because she threw the sword away, right? That was the whole thing? When she realized that her land fucked her over, that she was betrayed, she was just like, I was betrayed by my people that I thought I was serving. I killed my people. Like, she killed them, right? In self-defense, I assume. And was like, no, how dare I? I don't deserve to live. Go throw the sword away so I'm not immortal anymore. I'm pretty sure that's the idea. Excalibur is a perfect noble phantasm, both in offense and defense. Well, then you cheat. You can't have perfect offense and defense. Then she's got to have low magic stance. But she has perfect magic defense too, so she's a fucking cheater. Ugh.
だから本当ならセイバーは傷を負ってもすぐに治るはずだってこと。
So really, Saber should heal right away, even if she gets hurt. Sure, maybe that's how she was when she's alive, but the Grail might be playing by different rules. Well, or maybe I stole her healing, like I stole her sheath powers, and she has the sword powers where I have the sheath powers. I think that's a little too simplistic. I'm pretty sure it's more than just that for the explanation of Shiro's healing, but... It was a lesson this whole time. The sheath is for peace, the sword is for war. Arthur chose the sword and lost when peace happened. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
トサカ、実際セイバーは傷を負っても治ってるんだが。
Tosaka, Saber's wounds have all been healing. Well, not the internal ones.
それはそうだけど、セイバーの自己回復はセイバーのバカみたいに膨大な魔力を使った力技にしか見えないっていうか。
That's true.
ともかく伝説のエクスカリバーのせいとは違う
But
気
it
がす
seems
る
like
の
her
よ。
healing comes from using a great amount of magical energy. Anyway, it doesn't seem to match the sheath of Excalibur in the legend. Well, maybe that's because her noble phantasm is just the sword, because she chose the sword and not the sheath, so she doesn't get the sheath. Maybe someone ran away with the sheath. Maybe someone stole the sheath. Maybe frickin' who was it? I forget who she said. Somebody kept trying to not throw it in the lake. She said there was some servant that kept trying to not throw it in the lake. And that servant eventually gave in and threw it in the lake. And then Saber died or whatever. But maybe they didn't actually throw it in the lake and they stole it. Or something. And so maybe that is actually Shiro. And that's why Shiro has immortality now. You know, crack theories.
なるほど。トサカがそう言うんならそれは正しいんだろう。
I see. Well, if you say so. I mean, I could just ask her. I could just ask her if there's, something weird going on now that I know her identity. I mean, at this point, it's not a secret.
ならこっちから質問。
Then I have a question. Oh, what, for Rin?
アーサー王は不死者だって言うけど、それなら どうしてアーサー王は死んだんだよ。
You say King Arthur's
伝
immortal,
説
so
の
then
最
how
後
did he
は
die?
アーサー王の死じゃないか。
The legend ends with King Arthur's death. Yeah, because she threw the sword away back into the lake. Because she killed a bunch of her comrades, I'm pretty sure, and hated herself for it. And it's like, just fucking end it. Throw the sword away. I think that's the idea. Why are you as OP as fuck, Saber? Shiro. Even though, like, before, Shiro wanted to do all the fighting and not have Saber do it, but maybe he would have been okay with it if Saber was even better at fighting. Saber, you're not OP enough. You don't have A+++ stats like Berserker does in all categories. Huh? Tosaka opens her mouth, dumbfounded. What, you don't have an answer for that? After freezing for a few seconds, she grits her teeth and looks away. What, you don't know? Or you don't want to tell him for some reason? The Lady of the Lake drowned Saber in the lake?
そうだった。エクスカリバーの鞘は途中で敵に盗まれたんだ。
The sheath of Excalibur was stolen? Are you just putting that together now? Or I kind of figured it's because Saber threw the sword away because she didn't want to live anymore after she killed all her people. But I guess that's not the case. The whole Saber being bloody is what kicked his drama in. So if she had OP regen, he wouldn't have been so gung about it. I guess that's true. The end is just being all a dream. That's like the stupidest ending. Like, you can do it for a goof-off game. If you want to do it for a goof-off game like Mario 2. But, you know, when you have the seriousness, don't take away the seriousness. And even if you do, I mean, it's all just within a game. So saying it's within a dream, it's a game within a dream. It's like a game within a game. But it's not quite the same as a game within a dream, because if it's within a game, then someone programmed the game, whereas if someone had a dream, then the dream is just something someone made up without even thinking, which is different. Unless the dreamer is based on some magical dream inception levels of stuff, then you can do something interesting with it if it's not just some random BS dream, an actual dream that someone, you know, created instead of a game that someone created. Anyways. Inception spoilers was all a dream? Or was it? We don't know. That's the twist. That's a simple mistake. I forgot about it too, but the fall of King Arthur started when he lost the sheath he should never have lost. Okay. Do I not have that in my status?
で、納得いったか、トサカ。
So, are you convinced now, Tosaka?
言ったわよ。笑い物にしたいならすればいいわ。
You can laugh at me if you want. So what we're saying is at some point we have to get her sheath back. Or we have to make her sheath? If we can make her cool other sword, can we make her cool sheath? That'd be kind of hard, considering how limiting it is. But then again, I mean, because when we made Excalibur and it disappeared immediately. So I don't know. Maybe one of the other servants, like Castor, like if Archer had the sheath, you would think that he would give it back to Saber. Though the fact that Shiro feels super immortal, for the most part, maybe not completely immortal, but half immortal because he's been put in this weird human body, makes me think Shiro, based on everything, based on the evidence we have and the servants we've seen and the ones that are going to be left, I don't think it's that one of the other servants we're dealing with has the sheath. But I feel like the sheath has to come up if they're bringing it up in this fashion. So my assumption is that Shiro is based on some weird hero that was spat out by the Grail during the Fate Zero time. And he was like a weird half-assed hero that was spit out in an incomplete state as a child. Or his soul went into a child's body or something, and that's why he remembers so little about his life before. And maybe the spirit that he's based on was the spirit that stole Saber's sheath. Possibly. Which may explain his weird attraction to Saber if the spirit that he is based on stole the sheath because he had a weird stalker gross crush on Saber. Yeah, I think that's where my mind is going right now, is that Shiro was one of those spirits who was working with Saber, had a weird stalkery crush on Saber, stole the sheath, took the immortality, and then got spat out by the Grail in a weird incomplete state as a result of the Fate Zero fuck-up, and got like, either became Shiro or penetrated someone who actually was Shiro and, like, took over his body or at least meshed with his body to give him, like, a split personality type thing. Or they blended together into one. Something like that. Remember this sight even if I've gone to hell. As if he's expecting to go to hell for stealing the thing. So, Shiro has this thing about wanting to be vindicated for saving someone and wanting to save women. Maybe the idea is that he wanted to save Saber. Maybe the weird Stalkery Crush spirit that stole the sheath from Saber did it because Saber was immortal, but he had this weird obsession with wanting to save Saber so that Saber could see him and love him, but to do it, Saber had to actually be put in trouble. So he stole the sheath so that Saber could be put in real trouble, but for some reason wasn't around when Saber actually died or whatever. And so was unable to actually save Saber. And so that's why the obsession comes in both the love for Saber, but the want to save women in general, but especially save Saber. Possibly some weirdness there. That could be also his want to... He wants to save in general, but also he wants to save women. Definitely, specifically, there's some sexism that plays into his hero fetish. The Bedivere, was that the name of the person who refused to throw the sword? It could be Bedivere. The Bedivere has been name dropped, so that would make sense. Not wanting Saber to die, that's true. Bedivere might have been a creeper, might have stolen the sheath. Something like that. And couldn't, when push came to shove, couldn't really confront himself. And maybe after Saber died, because he couldn't go through with it, like he did what Saber wanted because he loves Saber, but he wanted to save Saber, but didn't know how to do it and was fucked in the moment, and so let Saber die, and when Saber died, he hated himself and committed seppuku. And that's why he died. Even though he should be immortal if he has the sheath. But maybe maybe the thing of the sheath is that you're immortal, but you can commit self-suicide or something? The last loyal and alive knight to Saber. And that's why he never turned on Saber, because he had a weird, gross crush on her. Possibly. Like, all the other knights turned, and maybe he helped her kill them, and maybe he didn't want it to go that far when he stole the sheath, or maybe it was a whole separate issue, and he hated himself, and so after Saber died, he killed himself. But then, where'd the sheath come from? Because he shouldn't be able to die if he has the sheath. Maybe, I don't know, something with the Grail. Possibly. Or, like, the thing of the sheath is that you can kill yourself, nobody else can kill you. Maybe that's how the sheath's immortality works. Interesting. Yeah, that's why he didn't die at the war, because the rest of everyone died, but he lived because he had the sheath. Quite possibly. You can laugh at me all you want. She's lying. I can tell she intends to axe kick me if I laugh. She's just that kind of tsundere type of person.
納得いったんならいい。けど、どうしてそんなことを気にしたんだよ。セイバーが傷つかないかどうかなんて、お前には関係ないだろ?
It's fine if you understand, but why would you be worried about it? It should be of no concern of yours whether Saber can get hurt or not. It's, of course it's a concern of mine, because I'm going to take her as my servant after you die, and I'll take her from Ilya.
うるさいわね。何よ。ちょっとそうだったら無敵だななんて舞い上がっただけじゃない。
Shut up! I just lost myself thinking she'd be invisible if that was the case. Gosh, idiot, baka.
私だってね、たまには間違えることぐらいあるわよ。
Even if I make mistakes once in a while, maybe sometimes. Ellipses. This is hard. Would it be good for her if I could correct her and point out that she makes mistakes often, not just once in a while? Dealing with women is hard. Especially when you have such a bad grasp of yourself, it's hard to have grasps of other people. The sheath thing being true would vindicate the whole Saber is the best servant. Oh, that's true. The fact that, you know, she assumes Saber would have the sheath, which would make her the best, but because she doesn't have the sheath, it makes her less good, which is why she's not up to par, even beyond the fact that she's not getting proper magical energy from Shiro. That's fair. So I guess Saber maybe would be the best servant if it wasn't for that, but something grumble. Would it be good for her if I correct her and point out that she makes mistakes often? I mean, maybe. It depends on where you want your relationship to go. If you're smart enough to deal with the pushback that she's gonna have. She probably likes it when you correct her to some extent because it means you're paying attention, I guess. She probably likes being right. She likes toying with you, but, you know, the tsundere in her is gonna like it both ways, I would think. By the time the sun sets, the rain has stopped. Oh, nobody died. Okay. The sheath class is the strongest. Not the sword, the sheath. It's not the saber class. That's funny. Prequel to Shield Hero? Not seen Shield Hero, but I'll just nod and wave and pretend that was a good reference. Based on our conversation during breakfast, we should be going out into town to search for other masters after dinner, but what? But what?
その前に確かめておかないと。
To find out before that. Find out which part. It probably has to do with Saber, given your recent obsession. Saber's intentions. Okay, what, you want to know what her wish is? I mean, she kept it to you from before, I believe, because you wanted to keep it a secret identity because someone could, like, tap into Shiro's brain and find out who she was, but now people just know who she is, so it's, I think, fine to ask her now. I need to know why she is fighting.
と言っても正面から聞いてもダメだな。できるだけさりげなく聞き出さないと。
I can't ask her straight on, because you don't want a straight answer. You don't want to hear what you don't want to hear. Gosh. I have to try to ask her as indirectly as possible, because you're so blushy around her now that you like her so much, and she likes you so much, and you've seen her dreams, and you feel awkward about it, but, like, she's your servant, and you know she's Arthur at this point, and she knows you know she's Arthur, and you made her freaking sword for her, so I feel like she owes you one. I don't think it'd be that bad for her to tell you her wish. I guess there's the whole thing of, well, you know, if you say it, it might not come true. And to be fair, the last time someone asked Saber her wish back in Fate Zero, and she told them, they laughed at her. So, there's that. The blunt person being indirect. I mean, I think he's pretty bad at the whole subtlety. He's bad at noticing subtlety, yet he expects other people to notice his subtlety. I make my mind up and stand up. Let's go to the living room. Let's? Are you referring yourself to as a we now? I hope I'll be able to penetrate the fortress. Penetrate. Using the calm before dinner air as a shield. A shield? Oh, that's the Shield Hero joke.
例えばの話だけど、
Just hypothetically, is this how you're doing it indirectly? Is this your idea of indirect?
もし聖杯戦争に勝ち残れたとしたらどうしようか。
Are you fucking kidding me? That is not indirect. That's your fucking idea of indirect? God, sure, you suck at this. Yeah, just add hypothetical to the start of your statement. That makes it indirect. Fucking of course. I'm asking for a friend. It's as bad as that. It's like, oh, I was just wondering, you know, not that I want to know, just that a friend asked me, what would your wish be? So, since I couldn't come up with any good ideas, I asked her directly. Fucking heck. At least that's in character. At least they made it a funny. They made it a funny. So that's funny. They made a funny use of his dumb characteristic of being dumb. And that at least makes it funny. Like I said.
Eh?
And you're not even asking her privately, you're asking her right in front of Rin.
Huh?
Uh-huh.
Huh?
And Elia's here too! Jeez! They all give the same response with different expressions. Oh, is this your idea of indirect? You're asking all of them at the same time?
だから勝った後のことだよ。聖杯を手に入れたらどうするかって話。
That's better than... Okay. That's... Oh, you know what? I'll give him credit where it's due. If he's only looking for one person's answer in particular, and he asks them all in an open forum style, then that's a decent way to hide his true intentions. At least, you know, decent for Shiro's standards. What should we do if we win the Holy Grail War?
そんなの説明されなくてもわかるけど、 どういう風の吹き回しよ。あんたがそんなこと言い出すなんて。
You don't need to explain the question, but what's wrong? Why are you asking? Even though they don't nod, it seems like Saber and Ilya have the same question. I guess it was unnatural to abruptly ask. Yeah. But I have to play ignorant for now.
ああ、いや、ただの思いつきだ。
It just came to mind.
ほら、残ったサーバントはあと3人なんだから、そういうことを考えてもおかしくないだろ。数が減って明白に終わりが見えてきたんだから。
There are only 3 servants left, right? So it's not that weird to start thinking about it, right? There's not much left now until... and the near is end. I mean, the end is near. Could you capitalize that N? What?
ふーん。まあ言われてみればそうよね。
Well, you're right. But Rin only cares about the frickin' fight. She's so in the moment.
いくら四郎だってこの状況ならそれぐらいは考えるか。好きで始めたことじゃないって言っても命を張ってる以上は報酬ぐらい気になるだろうし。
Rationalizing it? Even though it's because I just want to know Saber's wish? I feel like you'd figure that out, but I guess because you yourself are having trouble figuring out a wish, that's distracting you from seeing Shiro's true intentions. Even you'll start thinking about it in this situation, even though you didn't start this because you wanted to. I bet you're curious about the reward since you're risking your life. I mean, you'd think he would be, but he was told that he could have a wish a while ago and never even thought about it. It's decent cover to say that there's less servants, so it's more realistic that we might actually win, but that's not his real goal at all. Because he's not fucking selfish in the slaves. He's just, I mean, you could argue it is selfish, but he's just thinking about Saber.
そうそう。一応それぐらいは考える。
Oh, he's biting. Yes, I'm curious, exactly. What she said. Thank God Tosaka likes to reason things out. She's better at it than I am. It's a good cover. I think one of Tosaka's good aspects is to consider anything as a possibility if it sounds reasonable. I mean, that doesn't mean you ignore the potential other possibilities and just lock yourself into the one possibility and then forget what you were ignoring because it didn't fall in line with your version of events in your head. Just in this case, though. In all other cases, it's bad because she susses me out. But this time it helps me.
それで遠坂はどうなんだよ。もし聖杯が手に入ったらどうするんだ。
Rin considers a lot of things not reasonable, and that bites her in the ass. Yeah, because she's so overconfident. The Archer quote should be her memento. I hope Archer wrote that down. He should have had a will, and it should have said one thing: Archer, don't underestimate people. So how about you, Tosaka? What will you do if you get the Holy Grail? Now, I've already seen from Archer's perspective that her answer is, I don't fucking give a shit, I just want to fight. Unless your wish wouldn't be Archer's wish now. Unless it is. Like, you said yourself, you fucking hate the idea of world peace. So it's not like you carry that wish on, it would be hypocritical. At least, you know, if your fucked up version of world peace, I think really would be a bad wish. I ask as naturally as I can.
そうね。私は勝つことしか考えてなかったから、聖杯に叶えてもらうような目的はないわ。
At least she's honest. I only really thought about winning, so there's nothing I wanted the Holy Grail to grant. God, that's so fucked up. This fight exists for the purpose of getting the wish, and you just want to do the fight. That's so fucking fucked.
とりあえず聖杯を手に入れるけど、その後のことは考えてなかったな。
I'll get it, but I haven't thought about anything after that. Cheese and crackers, that's so fucking fucked. Some people have important wishes like world peace, you know. Jeez. Dash, dash. So she's fighting because she doesn't want to lose, huh? I think she's fighting because she's a fucking fightaholic and she was trained all her life for this, and then her father died, you know, as the teacher, and she wanted to live up to the teacher. Frickin' Tosaka. Frickin' frick it all to frick. Well, I guess so, but I never really thought I'd be right. I mean, after all, I'm Shiro, I'm pretty stupid. My guesses generally aren't right.
切れた。 一番ものを考えていそうで、実は一番考えてないのよね。
Exactly! I'm stunned. You seem to be the one who's thinking the most, but you're actually the one who thinks the least. If you don't even want a fucking wish. Toe sucker indeed. Rin wins the war. Grail, I wish to win this war. Grail, you already did. Good job. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Nothing happens. I do like that Rin isn't a perfect waifu with no flaws. She could easily fall into the typical tsundere. I suppose.
言うじゃない。じゃあそういうあんたはどうなのよ、イリアスフィール。
You're one to talk. What about you, Eliasville? I don't think she is one to talk. Seems almost for sure like she does have a wish. I do think that her and Rin are paralleled in a way, but, if anything, Eliasville's wish would probably be related to her parents, I would think, if anything, given how, she came after Shiro and all that. Possibly. Or if she does have a wish, it's more of a natural wish. But she's kind of fucked because of her, her betters have been coaxing her into this. Yeah, there's that. That's what I was thinking about her grandfather. So it might be the whole thing of, well, I was supposed to get the Grail for them. I'm not allowed to have a wish. But if you could have a wish, what would it be?
そんなの知らない。聖杯は私のだから、誰にも渡すなって言われただけよ。
Yeah, they are paralleled. It's different, but it's the same. I don't know. I was just told the Holy Grail is mine, so I shouldn't give it to anyone. You were gonna grant whatever wish your grandfather told you to grant. Because you have no freaking free will, which, is better and worse in its own way.
もともと私のものなんだから、そんなものに興味あるわけないじゃない。
Since it's mine to begin with, of course I don't care about it. It's yours to begin with? Gosh. And that's another level of underestimating others. I mean, her and Rin both have that whole thing of underestimating others, but I feel like Ilia has more earned the right, in my opinion, to underestimate them, but it makes it hurt all the harder when she does get met with something she wasn't expecting. Like with Archer really fucking her up, for example.
要するに聖杯より聖杯戦争の方が楽しいってこと？
So you're saying the Holy Grail War is more fun than the Holy Grail? No, that's what you would say, Rin. I mean, I feel like if Ilia does say that it's more fun than the Holy Grail, it's only because she's lived such a sheltered life because of her grandparents who've been forcing her into this. And now that she's in it, it's like she just has to, do the war and she gets to have some fun because she's normally forced into the situation where she has to train. It's different from you, Rin. You genuinely find it fun, where I think she only finds it fun because she doesn't have anything to compare it to. It's a parallel, but a different kind of parallel, I feel.
当然よ。私は勝つためだけに来たんだもの。聖杯の使い道なんてどうでもいいわ。
Of course, I only came to win. I don't care who uses the Holy Grail. It's so fucked, but I guess it makes sense because, both Rin and Ilia, they're paralleled. They're the yin and yang. They're so different yet so similar. Rin doesn't have a wish. Ilia just says, well, I'll get it, and one of my grandparents who has some cynical wish will grant their wish. Shinji, his wish, I don't know, but he's a fucked up individual, so it probably would have been fucked. And Shiro, he doesn't even realize it, but if anything, his wishes should be for Saber, which is probably the best of all the wishes, which even that's not a great wish, in my opinion, depends how much you like Saber. I guess, Archer definitely has the best wish, but, Rin calling it the worst wish, so it's like, jeez. Yeah, Leolia has more active presence of living family. Yeah, Rin's dead father and the fact that she's had to grow up alone for the rest of the years. They turned out very similar, but in different ways. Yeah, you can see the butting heads. Are they the same? Indeed! I've talked about this before. The two glare at each other silently, and there seems to be a sympathy I can't understand. I can understand it. I've been saying this all along. Well, maybe not all along. Most of the long. At some point, I definitely came to that conclusion. Ellipses. Saber doesn't say anything. She doesn't want to say her wish. This was awkward. We were asking for wishes because Shiro asked for wishes, maybe to clear the air so someone else could say the wish, so Saber could have confidence to say her wish, but then neither of them have wishes, so it's like, jeez, God. Like, thank God you guys don't win if your wish is nothing. That's my stance on it. If you don't have an active wish, you don't fucking deserve to win as far as I'm concerned. Let someone who actually has more of a vested interest in something win, in my opinion. She must not intend to join the conversation. Main difference between Rin and Ilya, base morality outside of all the magical shit. Ilya just wants to have fun and be loved, even outside of the war. Rin wants to be somewhat good person. Rin, yeah, but she also wants to be the best even outside of the war. Whereas I feel like Ilya's more laser focused on the war. I guess Ilya does think of herself as having a high station because she was raised that way. Rin wasn't fully raised that way, but like she started to be raised that way and she can't let down what she was raised by, so she has to keep up the amazing pretense to not let down the legacy. Whereas Ilya was trained, you know, raised to be that way for so long that she's, oh gosh, hiccups, been tricked into thinking that it's the only correct path. It's not a huge pair. Oh gosh, hiccups. Okay, I have to, you know what? Yeah. Okay, alright, yeah, we're gonna save here. Yin and yang, wishes of nothing. But I'm more okay with Ilya, because Ilya, like, she doesn't have a wish, but like, she never thought she was gonna get a wish. She was just gonna pass it along to her betters, or whatever, her grandparents, or whatever, just let them have the wish. But Rin doesn't have such preconceptions, and yet still has no wish, which, if anything, shows the more fallacy in that, you know, if she did have her father, she would just pass it on to her father, but she doesn't, and so, it's like you can't hide how fucked you are, in a way. 5-page essay on why Shiro's my favorite character of the novel. I think Shiro's a dumb fuck, but doesn't mean he can't be a fun dumb fuck, I guess. Anyways. Words don't equal quality. Only 5? 10-page essay would have been way better. You really needed to piss. Well, there you go. Spoiler free. Shiro is the worst enemy in his own mind. He's his own worst enemy. Uh-huh. Exactly. Also, maybe he's a supervillain. Just maybe. Right, so, yes, back to the fate. Saber doesn't say anything. She must intend to join the conversation. You didn't miss anything, Tom's Tom. We're just starting again. No matter how much Saber hates it, I must ask her this question now. Or, you know, if she is going to be this avertive about it, you could ask her in private when the others aren't around, in case she doesn't want to say her wish. Feito.
2人の目的はなんとなく分かった。
What? Fucking Shiro, you're all fucked! All of you are fucked! You're all fucked little kids! What? I kind of understand your two intention. No! No, that's stupid! They don't have it! Okay, Ilya's intention makes sense, because she, you know, she's been raised that way. And Rin's kind of makes sense, but it's like, no! Come on, Rin, have a fucking wish! Ah! They make the least sense! Ah! Of course someone would think world peace is the worst wish and you don't even have a fucking wish! Triggered. I definitely understand your traumatic-filled pasts. I understand why you wouldn't have a wish. After all, I don't have a wish. I try to nod naturally, and...
じゃあセイバーは
How about you, Saber? Are you like, do you have a normal, non-existent wish like everybody, just having not a wish? Is that the normal thing? Shiro doesn't have a fucking wish. You, Rin, and Ilya don't have wishes. It's just normal to not have wishes. People that want world peace are just weirdos. I ask Saber. And yet you expect Saber to want a wish for herself! Ah! Why would you ever... Yeah! And yet you think not having a wish is normal, and you don't have a fucking wish! Jeez. Ellipses. She probably feels awkward now because, you know, these guys just said, oh, we don't have wishes. We just want to do the fight because we're freaking bloodthirsty weirdos. With Ilya, it makes sense because she was unfortunately raised that way. Rin, it makes sense, but it makes less sense because she had time to develop into her own. And even if she wanted to live on the legacy, she still could have developed her own fucking wish. Ah. Maybe the writing is saying a young person without their own dream wish is fundamentally a broken person. That's not entirely true. You don't need a dream wish. You can just go through the motions of life and I think still be a fine person. But when the opportunity presents itself and you're like, you're gonna have to be part of this war. But if you don't have to be part of this war. It's optional. For Ilya, it wasn't optional. She was fucking raised to be forced into it. But if you join it and you win, you might die. But if you win, you get a wish. I think at that point, you only join it if you have the wish. If you don't have the wish and you join it, I mean, it's different with Ilya again, but with Red, it's like you still don't have a fucking wish and you join it just because of your fucked up heritage of wanting to freaking do good by the Tosaka name, even if you don't even know it's for it. Because the whole reason the Grail started in the first place was to grant the wish. That's why the fights even started happening. But now you want to do the fight just because you've been wanting to win the fight for so long, you don't know you're getting what the wish quite. Ah! Oh, Shinji was forced. Okay, there you go. Ellipses. Saber doesn't answer. Must have realized Saber's acting in a complicated matter as they both stare at her. If I'm counting, there must be about a minute's silence. Saying that you want to comment but spoilers is sort of a spoiler. I mean, oh, haha, funny joke, I would say, but spoilers. But saying that occasionally, if you say that too often, that is kind of minor spoilers. Very minor. But if you're saying that saying it would be spoilers, then that is kind of a spoiler. You know, honestly, it's a pet peeve of mine for people to be like, and I've done it too, like, every now and then, but a lot less recently, because it's become a pet peeve of mine. For people to be like, I would say, but spoilers. If I'm counting, there must be about a minute's silence.
今更語るまでもありませんが、聖杯を手に入れるのは私の義務です。
I do not need to say this, but it is my duty to obey the Holy Grail. Okay.
聖杯がどれほどの許容範囲を持っているかは知らない。
It's not quite as extreme, but it's the same thing as saying, like, oh, make sure you pay attention to that aspect of the backstory. Or, oh, that desk lamp is going to be important. Well, I didn't fucking know that, and now I can't not know that. And now when it does become important, instead of having a, revelation moment, I don't know, I'm just thinking about stuff like, you know, Ace Attorney type games. I'm just using that as a general. That's the one that's especially bad for the spoilers. But, you know, I've seen comments on other people's videos where it'll be like, make sure you pay attention to this aspect. It's like, maybe some people want that. Maybe some people want the help. But, like, telling someone to pay attention to something before it becomes relevant could potentially spoil the realization that, oh, shit, that's what it was. Instead of, you know, instead of letting the narrative flow naturally and give it to it in the correct order. All my statements are reacting as if you were a first-time player. Yeah, I mean, you know, it can be kind of hard to do that when you're definitely not a first-time player, but I appreciate the effort. It's my duty to obtain the Holy Grail. I do not know how powerful the Holy Grail is.
ですがそれが聖杯である限り、
But as long as it is
私
the
は
Holy
聖杯を
Grail,
手に入れなくてはなりません。
I must obtain it. You're dodging the question. I know your wish. I saw Fate Zero.
そして無論、聖杯が私の望みを叶えられるなら、
And of course,
望みを叶えるだけですが。
I would have my wish granted if it can grant it. She said it. Without a doubt, Saber said she has her own wish. I mean, yeah, she's not saying what it is, but I think most people do have their own wish. I think not having your own wish is fucking weird. Unless you're forced into the fight, then maybe. But you're not forced into the fight for the most part. This is supposed to be voluntary. Being voluntary and the majority of you not having your own wish is stupid! The Girl King from medieval times is the least fucked up person. Pretty much. I mean, to be fair, Shiro already did some unfucking. Like, she was a little fucked already. And she's still kind of fucked in a way. But Shiro helped, you know, open her out of her shell by being so horny around her. She got, like, horny back. And now she's more normal-ish. She still had a wish before that, but, you know.
そうか。で、その望みって何なんだ？
I see. Then what's your wish? I restrained my pounding heart and asked calmly. Saber doesn't answer. That's fine too. Is it? I think the assumption is that they have a wish. Not having a wish would be weird. I guess you thought that because they're supposed to be similar to the person summoned, you'd think that she might be like you and not have a wish, but you want her to have a wish even though you don't have a wish? If you care so much about Saber, your wish should be making her like a real girl that can spend time here. You just thought that that's what you hope Saber's wish is, because you think that she should care for herself. Maybe that should be your wish, Shiro. It's not great, but it'd be something. I would be, you know, at least you'd have something. If she cannot answer, chances are good that her wish is a selfish one. No. I mean, yeah, it is. It is a selfish one, but, like, not by comparison to... Not the way you're thinking. You're thinking her wish will be so selfish of, I just want to give myself a real body in this time. And, you know, you could argue all wishes are going to be selfish to some extent, but how selfish you think it's going to be is incorrect, I believe. Yeah, no point wishing her to be a real girl if she doesn't find happiness in living a normal life. No, she's so fixated on fixing what she fucked up in the past, which makes sense. And also, she spent so much of her life doing that when she was suddenly thrust into this time, I doubt she has much of an interest in this time at all. Except for now she's suddenly interested in Shiro, sure. But I don't think that outweighs her wish of the past. Which, maybe Shiro having a wish to make her a real girl could go in hand with whatever her wish is, but, like, you know, she wouldn't... Considering Saber's personality, she would hesitate to speak of a selfish wish. And it is kind of selfish. It's, like, you can't say... I feel like all wishes are selfish at the heart of it, but, I mean, it's just... There's varying levels of selfishness. I mean, wishing for world peace, I would say is not selfish. I don't know. Depending on how you wish for it. If you're not, like, you know, depending on how you word the wish, I don't know how picky, you know. If, like, I think most people would want the world peace, which makes it not selfish. I think you can have wishes that aren't selfish, but, like, even they would have some ramifications that some people wouldn't like. Any non-selfish wish would be actively detrimental to yourself. I suppose, because even world peace might give you a good sense of mind, knowing that there aren't wars. Maybe you're someone who hates the idea of war, and having a world without war could give you a sense of mind. Like, even if it makes the world better, it might just be that you only did it, subconsciously at least, to make yourself, you know, stop having such aneurysms over people dying or something. Wishing for world peace is selfish? I think that's about as unselfish as you get as far as wishes go, is world peace. I'm not saying there can't be selfish aspects to it, but world peace is definitely about as unselfish as wishes generally get. Generally. And I don't think you have to kill yourself in your wish for your wish to suddenly be selfless. But, even if you wished for world peace, if you got your version, if like someone else was allowed to decide what the world peace meant, then it would be selfless. But if you get to choose what that means, then it's your definition of world peace, which might be someone different than someone else's definition of world peace. So, you know, you can argue there's some selfishness there, but... I'd prefer if she kept quiet and not tell me a ridiculous wish. What? Such whining fills my head. It does? Huh? Even though you want her to be selfish, right? Isn't that the whole thing? You want her to be selfish? Or maybe you don't want her to be selfish because you know that she's like you and you don't want to even risk thinking of a selfish wish for yourself?
何それってそんなに難しいこと？
Is it that hard? Oh shoot, Ilya here to save the day. When it was just Rin, she wouldn't have helped, but Ilya sees through it because Ilya probably just hasn't thought about ever having a wish. Because of how she's been raised. But if she had to have a wish, you know, I bet she could come up with something.
サーバントの望みは現世に蘇ることだっておじいさまは言ってたわ。英霊たちは二度目の生を得るために聖杯を求めるんだって。
Grandfather said the
セイバーだって
wish
そうじゃないの？
of the servants is to be resurrected in this world. Those servants seek the Holy Grail to live a second life. Isn't that the case for you, Saber? Maybe for some servants, but I don't think, and especially for Saber it wouldn't be. Because Saber already could have potentially lived forever. I mean, she didn't because she fucked up, but just a simple get another life is very much on the selfish line that I don't think Saber is on. I want to wish for a second sword so I can dual wield Saber. Maybe. I raise my head at her words. There's no problem if that's Saber's wish. Of course. Just make it your wish, fucking Shiro. It doesn't have to be Saber's wish. Your wish could be that. But you don't even consider that. But...
いいえ、二度目の生に関心はありません。
Nope. I have no interest in a second life. Uh-huh. Whatever your definition of world peace, if it's what you want, it's just you forcing your intentions on other people. I don't want to get too big into this, but, you know, your intentions could be better than, you know, the warring state right now. Your intentions are probably, most people's intentions are probably better than the fucked up state the world is theoretically in at the moment. Maybe it's not perfect, but, you know, it's certainly better than, you know, all the wars and shit going on. And I think there is, you know, oftentimes bad guys, a simple motivation for bad guys is I want to take over the world. But, you know, when there's the idea of a bad guy wanting to take over the world because they think it's actually fucked up, but they think they could fix it, it's kind of short-sighted because their life will only go on for so long, but I don't think there's no sense to that. Sure, maybe it's only by your definition of what's right, and other people will disagree with you, but that's why you get people on your council, and, like, you know, someone has to sit at the top, and if no one sits at the top, it generally becomes chaos. And if you wish for world peace in a way that could please most people, then I think that's about as selfless as you get. You can only get so selfless. I mean, you would never want to wish for something that would make you unhappy, or if you did, then I think that speaks to a fucked up aspect of your personality. So, remove child slavery, that's a better world already. Well, there you go, yeah. Anyways, I have no interest in a second life.
私の目的は聖杯を手に入れることのみです。
My goal is only to obtain the Holy Grail. And again, if you have total control over the Grail's wish and how it works, you could, you know, actively make the world a better place with infinite resources and stuff. You know, it wouldn't matter about real-world limitations, the actual limitations potentially of someone who actually wants to take over the world and make it, you know, their way. You know, defeating those limitations means you can make it a much better place than you might theoretically think possible without a wish-granting machine. But my goal is only to obtain the Holy Grail.
もともとこの身は聖杯を手に入れる代償としてサーバントになったのですから。
I became a servant as a price to obtain the Holy Grail because you want its wish, right? I knew that had to be it. Okay. Just make everyone a god, have their own world, and have their own world peace. Not everyone wants to be a god, though, so, you know, it's not that easy. It's complicated, but you could definitely do it. It'd be very complicated, though. But if you know, it depends on how the Grail works. It depends on if it lets you, you know, be that nuanced. I knew the girl who took that oath, pulling out the sword, would not seek a second life.
ちょっと待って、聖杯を手に入れることと引き換えにサーバントになった？それって英霊になる時の契約のこと？
I think this is news. I think this is the first time we're hearing about that whole contract thing. Sounds horrible and isolationist? No, but it wouldn't. Not if you were in your own world that you liked the most. Some people, again, don't like being gods, but if you like being the god and you can just be a lazy god who doesn't have to do anything, you know, some people would like that. I think the notion that, oh, don't wish for world peace because it would be your ideals and no one else's, I don't know. I feel like that notion is just so defeatist. Like, let someone have fucking world peace. I hate the idea that, oh, it would be their version, so it's all worthless. Because it would always be someone's fucking version. There's no such thing as an ideal, perfect world where, it just wouldn't fucking happen. Just let someone wish for world peace and have their fucking version. At least, it would be a version, which is better than no version. Your wish for Holy Grail War would be becoming a god and do whatever I want. Yeah, I'd probably have a pretty selfish wish too, because I wouldn't have a nuanced idea of since not everyone's gonna be happy anyway. I haven't really put much thought into what an actual wish would be. Probably something simple like infinite money. I don't know. Also, maybe immortality. I might like immortality. That I don't think I would mind that. I know there's a lot of narratives where it's like, immortality sucks. And, I don't know. I can't really relate to those, theoretical people who don't like immortality. Personally, occasionally my mortality does scare me, where I'm like, well, I got about 50 years, and then I become an old man and die or something. But I don't think immortality would have to suck. It depends. Because, there's already so many anime and manga and video games to consume. And, we don't have the time for all of it. As long as always there's more anime and manga and video games. If ever they stop being a thing, and I've consumed everything, then I can die. You became a servant in exchange for attaining the Holy Grail? You mean the contract when you become a heroic spirit?
はい。この身をサーバントとする交換条件として、私は聖杯を求めたのです。
Yes, in exchange for becoming a servant, I seek the Holy Grail. I mean, isn't that not the same with all of them? Do not all of them do it that way? Do whatever the fuck you want with no restrictions. I mean, that's kind of godhood. But, yeah. That's the simple wish, I guess.
え
I mean, is that so surprising? Am I missing something? Like, you became a servant in exchange for obtaining the Holy Grail? Is that not what they all do? What, is that different from normal?
じゃあ何？あなたって聖杯を手に入れるために呼び出されたサーバントじゃなくて、聖杯を手に入れるために自分からサーバントになったっていうの？
Is this unusual? Then you're not a servant summoned to obtain the Holy Grail, but you became a servant by your own will? I'm fucking confused. Did you know about the Grail when you were gonna die, and so you did something to enter yourself as part of the Grail's group of groupies? Feels like this is how it would normally be. Although I guess you're saying that generally it's against their will that they're summoned? She must be really surprised she yells at this, then tilts her head, not believing her own words. Maybe because you think it's so weird for someone else to have an actual selfish wish. Oh my god, someone that actually wants something for themselves. But, like, how did you enter into it? How does that work? What's the process?
つまり、セイバーは英霊だから呼び出されたんじゃなくて、自分からこの戦いに参加したってこと？
So Saber wasn't summoned because she was a heroic spirit, but she joined the battle willingly. I feel like that explains some things, because I've always thought it was weird. I've thought it was weird that... Rin even said as much, that it's weird that Saber doesn't have her sheath. And I thought that the way the Grail worked... Yeah, this explains a big contradiction that I never really fully understood, and I just kind of accepted it and moved on, was that the Grail seems to summon people based on the stories of these real people. And these stories make them real, and the person summoned, Rin even said at the beginning, it doesn't matter if the person ever actually existed, it's just based on the heroic spirit story. But if that's true, then it should take King Arthur the way you'd think King Arthur existed, as a man. Even if King Arthur was actually a woman, he should have been summoned as a man, because that's how people deified her, as a man. Also, people think that she had the immortality, always, so she would have just kept that when she was summoned. The fact that that's not the case has, the woman thing always has bothered me since the beginning of the game, when Rin said, that, oh, it's based on, people's stories. They don't even have to be real people. And I thought they were real people. But now I guess my assumptions are being reversed. I thought they were real people because of Saber and my understanding of her from Fate Zero and how that was not at all the norm. So what they're saying is that normally people are summoned based on stories, but this is the real Saber who was not summoned based on any story, because the actual stories depict her as a man. So her being a woman is weird. I've thought that for the longest time, but I kind of just waved it away as being like, whatever, it's kind of maybe a minor plot hole, whatever, but the real Arthur, not the godlike spirit all the other servants are. Because the godlike servant, there probably does exist one, but it would be a man for sure. So, that explains, that, which has been bugging me for the longest time. But I kind of just waved it aside as a plot hole that I just, whatever. But I guess it's not.
けどサーバントである以上英霊として祀られているんだから自分からこっちの世界に関わるなんてできっこないわよね。じゃあセイバーはサーバントのルールから大きく外れて
But as long as you're a servant, you're respected as a heroic spirit. So you can't interfere with this world deliberately. Then you're well beyond the servant's rule. No, that's not right. So you can't interfere with this world deliberately. As long as you're a servant, you're respected as a heroic spirit. So you can't interfere with this world deliberately. Then you're well beyond the servant's rule. No, that's not right. Interesting. This definitely flips my head of the servants. Because I thought they were all like Saber. I thought that was the point, is they were all real people being summoned back by the Grail. The idea that it's actually the opposite, that she's the exception, kind of fucks with my head a bit. But okay.
もうちょっと待ってね。今整理するから。
Jeez, hold on, I'll work this out.
いいえ、整理するまでもありません。リンが言ったことは正しい。
No, you do not need to do so. What you said is correct. Yeah, that's also bothered me. How could, if no one knows about Archer, how could he exist? Like, because Assassin, the idea behind Assassin is that no one knew about Assassin. No one knew about Assassin, but he was so strong in life that, like, I guess he has to be similar to Saber, because no one knew about him. There were no legends. I guess there were legends. No. He's based on a legend. But he was so strong in life. He's based on a legend, but he was so strong in life that despite the fact that not many people looked up to him, he became a strong spirit despite the fact that not many people know about him? But yeah, Archer is weird too. Archer is weird too, because no one really knows about Archer, and yet he's super strong. And if, he's this strong, people should know about him. Because it's based on how much people know about him. So Archer seems like he has to be a real person too, to some extent. People do know Kojiro! Yeah, nobody seems to know about Archer. So something screwy is going on with him. Which, something screwy has been going on with him for the whole time. Either he's summoned from an alternate timeline where he does have a legend. That's kind of what I thought before. But now I'm starting to think it could still be that. But he's seeming more like a real person, possibly? Can't interfere with this world deliberately. You're beyond the servant's rule. Huh. Interesting. Is the fact that she's a real girl change your thought process, Rin? In-universe, Saber isn't a fictional heroic spirit. She'd be summoned as a female because that's who she truly is. I don't think that's how it works. Maybe it is how it works, but based on their explanations, I was led to believe... Based on Rin's explanation, I was led to believe it doesn't matter what the truth is. Whatever people believe is the truth becomes the truth in the heroic spirit. So, I don't think that's true.
私は他のサーバントとは違います。
I am different from the other servants.
私はまだ完全にサーバントになったわけではないのですから。
I've yet to become a complete servant. So Saber is actually the worst servant. Grumble, grumble.
完全にサーバントになっていない？
Not a complete servant? What does that mean? No, more importantly, what does it mean to become a servant? Uh-huh. That's something I've been wondering for a while. I assume they were just going to gloss over it, but... Saber said she agreed to become a servant as a price for obtaining the Holy Grail. So how does that work? And that means...
ちょっと待ってくれ。
Hold
サ
on.
ーバントっていうのはまさか何かを手に入れた代償として無理やり戦わされてるっていうのか。
Could it be that the servants are forced to fight as the price for obtaining something? I'm sorry, what? I mean, duh. They also get a wish from the Grail, unless I'm misunderstanding. Pretty sure that's the idea.
いいえ、それは違います。もともとサーバントというのはこの聖杯戦争だけの特別な使い魔です。
No, that's wrong. From the very beginning... No, that's wrong! Chigaoyo! From the very beginning, servants are special familiars that exist only for the Holy Grail War. But you entered yourself to be part of the Holy Grail War. Did you find the Holy Grail? How does this contract thing work?
サーバントとは英霊の特性を利用した召喚魔術。
Servant is summoning magic that uses the special characteristics of the heroic spirit.
元は英霊なのですから、サーバントにパンを得た代わりに労働をするという決まりはありません。
They were originally heroic spirits. They do not have any rules. Like, I was given bread, so I have to work. Okay.
そうね。サーバントシステムってのはもともと守護精霊である英霊を利用したものだもの。
Servant system uses heroic spirits. Guardian spirits. Wait. Sorry, what? Are those the same thing or different? Uses heroic spirits, guardian spirits. Is there an and?
元からあるものを使ってるわけだから、サーバント側にもマスター側にも代償として支払うものはない。
They're using something that already exists. So there's no price for the master or the servants to pay. Uh-huh. Okay, but this one did have... But Saber did have to pay something because she didn't exist and made herself into a spirit? Arthur and Myth was all about finding the Holy Grail. Oh. See, I don't know my Arthur Myth well enough, but that makes sense. If she found the Grail and made some kind of contract with it, but she was supposed to have died. Maybe she found it before she died. Or something.
けど、サーバントになる前、人間から英霊になるには代償行為が必要だって聞いたことがある。
I've heard that before they become a servant, they need to pay a price to become a heroic spirit. Okay.
英霊っていうのは人間の守護者でしょ？
Heroic spirits are guardians of the people, right? I guess.
彼らは死した後も人間のために働いて、人の世の滅亡を水面下で防ぐのだとか。
It's like they work for people even after they die to prevent the destruction of humanity and so on. Work for people even after they die. Uh-huh. They're like the guardians of the world, right. Yeah, I do remember Rin saying there were fictional heroic spirits, which, like, but yeah, it was around that point that she said that, she said something, I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure she said something like, you know, it doesn't even matter if it was actually the truth, you know, if that's how we remember it, then that's how they exist, or something like that. And some of them didn't even have to exist at all, they could just be fictional, that kind of thing. But, maybe that is incorrect, but I thought that was the idea, which seemed like a contradiction from what I knew about Saber, so it felt weird from the get-go, but... heroic spirits seem to be superhero spirits, save the, but the servants seem to be just for the specific war? Sure.
で、そういった守護者になるには、生前まだ英雄として現役だった頃に何かと取引をしなくてはならない。
So to become this guardian, a living hero must make a contract with something.
それが英霊の契約。世界に死後の自分を明け渡す儀式。
This is the contract of the heroic spirits, a ritual to give their existence to the world after they die. Okay.
交換条件によって財を得た者が英雄となり、 英雄としてやりたいことをやった後、死後はサーバントとしてもらった財を返す。
The ones who obtain riches from the exchange become heroes. Usually it would be the opposite way. You give riches to become the hero. And after they do whatever they want to as heroes and die, they become servants to pay for their riches. That feels backwards. It feels like they get to become a servant and get riches. But you're saying they pay for their riches to become by becoming a servant, but it feels backward. If your goal is to become a servant, then shouldn't there be a price to pay for that? Not you get to be a servant plus you get to, if your goal is to be a servant, then that feels backwards. It's like you're getting paid to do that feels weird. It depends. I mean, if being a servant is like a job, that's one thing. But if being a servant is your goal, I guess it could be a goal and a job, but it just feels like Saber is saying she paid a price, and Rin's saying they have to pay a price, but if paying the price is getting a bunch of riches from the Grail for free, that's not much of a price.
つまり英雄になるために借金をして、死んだ後は英霊になることで借金を返すってこと。
So in other words, they go into debt to become a hero and repay the debt when they die by becoming heroic spirit. That's not what you just said. The ones who obtain riches from the exchange become heroes. That is the opposite of going into debt. So I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a debt, though. I mean, it is a debt, but, like, it's not a payment. If the payment itself is becoming a heroic spirit, then they didn't pay anything. They got paid to become a heroic spirit, is what you're saying. That's completely different.
サーバントっていうのは、その返済金額を横から私たちにかすめ取られて使役されてるってわけ。
We summon servants by stealing the debt liability from the world. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's my thought process too, is that, you know, some people can pay into becoming heroes, but others, there were real people, but they didn't pay in, but there are stories based on them. And if that's what happened with Arthur, for example, then that version of King Arthur, which almost certainly exists because of the stories, unless she's taking up that spot, so there can't be one, I don't know how that works. But if there is another version of King Arthur that is a heroic spirit, it would totally be a man, it would have the immortality, it would have all the things that the stories say, that kind of thing.
つまり何かとの取引で人間は英雄になって英雄にしてもらったお返しとして死後は使い魔として使役されるのか。
So humans become heroes by contracting with something, and they're summoned as heroic spirits after they die to pay for becoming a hero? It sounds so backwards. Like, they get a bunch of riches and then get to become a heroic spirit. I mean, yes, being a heroic spirit is a job, I suppose, but you're not paying anything to become one then. You're getting paid to become one. It's so fucking backwards.
じゃあセイバーが英霊になった交換条件が
Then the conditions of the exchange that Saber made is the Holy Grail. I don't get it. The problem is that they sign off their afterlife. As a heroic spirit, there is no rest. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But in this case, Saber very much said she had to pay something. And are you just saying you paid your afterlife? Because then it's more than just you paid something. You paid something, but you also got riches. When did you get the riches? When did Saber get her riches? At what point was she rich? I mean, I guess she was rich when she ruled the kingdom, but I think that just came because she pulled the sword and became the ruler. I don't think the riches... At what point did you... As Saber obtained the Holy Grail in her life, she became a heroic spirit and then she died as a price? So she obtained the Holy Grail in her life. Okay. Okay. I think, you know, I don't think we should just gloss over that part. So she was given a bunch of riches? Did she say when she... Wait. So when she obtained the Holy Grail, while she was alive... She said, give me all these riches, I'll become a heroic spirit, as a way to keep protecting her land and her people even after she dies, but she's immortal. But if she ever did die somehow, despite her immortality, she would want to protect the world? Okay, that's fair. And now that she's being summoned, she's got a chance to, you know, fix her people, because she wanted to protect more than anything her people, and her people got fucked. So protecting the world, you know, is just suffering because her people are gone. So that's why her wish is to bring back her people, I guess. Becoming a hero and getting something is the riches. Okay. But, like, she was already a hero, I'm pretty sure. I don't think she got the Grail until she was already well on her way to being a hero. But, You say riches is a general term, but if they don't specify, I just assume money. To me, riches is money, but...
それこそおかしい。セイバーは聖杯が目的だって言った。けど、それはとっくに手に入れてるはずだ。
Saber
セイ
says
バー
her
は聖杯と引
objective
き換えに英雄になったんだから。
is to obtain the Holy Grail, but she should have already obtained it because she became a hero in exchange for the Holy Grail. Uh-huh. Well, sure, she found the Grail and made the contract, and that was her wish, was to keep protecting her people. Maybe that was her wish, so there was no need for a real wish. She just wanted to protect her people after she died, if she somehow died. But that became impossible because her people died out. That's why her wish is to do a do-over, I suppose.
いいえ、シロ。私はまだ聖杯を手にしてはいないのです。
Now I'm confused. I thought you had obtained the Holy Grail, and that's how you made the contract in the first place. No, Shiro, I have not yet obtained the Holy Grail. Huh?
アルトリア。アーサー王の望みは生きているうちに聖杯を手に入れることだった。
Artoria, King Arthur's wish was to obtain the Holy Grail while she lived. Okay, but you failed. But no, you had to have succeeded to make the contract? Unless you made the contract without actually making contact? How does that work?
私は死ぬ前に聖杯を手に入れなければならなかった。
I had to obtain the Holy Grail before I died. Okay, did you? But you just said you didn't.
そのためにもし聖杯が手に入るなら死後は守護者になっても良いと条件を飲んだのです。
So I agreed that I would become a heroic spirit after I died if I could obtain the Holy Grail. What? Huh? I don't understand. Are you saying you had a dream? Like, this, yeah, this is backwards. Exactly. Are you saying you had a dream or something and you're like, in your dream, you're like, hey, Grail, if you can hear me, like, I'll give you my afterlife if you let me find you. And then she found it, but she didn't even find it. What? Wait. Okay, wait. This is so backwards. So your wish is to obtain the Holy Grail. But the Holy Grail itself grants a wish. And the wish it granted you was obtaining the Holy Grail? I mean, I know that's not your... anyways, that's fucking confusing. You have to come into contact with Grail to become a thing, but your wish was to come into contact with the Grail, and you let yourself become the spirit that happens from coming into contact with the Grail, theoretically. So the Grail must have just heard your call from the wilds and let you become a thing without even becoming a thing. And then you became a thing, and now, but you still didn't come into contact, so your wish hasn't been fulfilled, so you paid the price. And yet, you still haven't gotten the payment, so that's why you have to get the Grail. So if anything, the Grail does belong to you more than anyone else, technically. So the Grail fucked you over by making you a heroic spirit, yet you haven't even gotten the payment yet, though. That's fucking confusing.
リンの言う通り、人間は英雄になるために世界と契約をし、人間以上の力を授か
As
り、
Rin said,
その代償として死後の自分を売り渡します。
humans make a contract with the world to become a hero, receive powers beyond human, and pay for it with life after death. Okay.
ですが私は英雄になるときに世界の後ろ盾を必要としなかった。
Uh-huh. I did not
幸いなことに、
need the help of the
アー
world.
サー王は英雄になるための支
To
援を
become a
必要と
hero.
しなかったのです。
Fortunately, King Arthur needed no support to become a hero. So what does that mean? I mean, did you just get to become a super better hero? What? She didn't need support to become a hero. She was already a hero. Uh-huh. And? So Sarah became a hero by her own powers. I think we already knew this.
けどあなたは英霊としてここにいる。
But you're here as a heroic spirit.
アーサー王は英雄になった後で世界に違う交換条件を求めたってこと？
Does that mean King Arthur... Why are you calling him a he now? This is a she. You're saying he in the theoretical Arthur heroic sense that isn't her. Does that mean King Arthur requested a different exchange from the world after he became a hero? But how would that make sense? Because if it's a myth, then you're not real. If you're real, then it's not the myth. So you had to contract the Grail. So, are you trying to confuse me, game? Novel thing?
はい。私は最後の時にどうしても聖杯が必要になった。聖杯がなければ我慢できなかった。
Yes.
叶えなくてはいけない願いができてしまった。
I needed the Holy Grail in my final moments. I could not stand not having the Holy Grail. A wish appeared that I needed to have granted. Right. Okay, I feel like this is all circling back to what I thought in the first place, is that she just has that wish. And that's why she wanted the Grail. And the Grail heard her call and knew that she was a hero. So it's like, hey, you're a hero, sure, why not? But then the Grail didn't appear before her. The Grail basically taunted her, is what we're saying. It's like, well, I won't appear before you, but I can let you become a heroic spirit, so you can potentially get summoned into a Grail war where you can potentially get me. Maybe, like, if that's the case, the Grail's a fucking conniving jerk. Well, I can't give you to me now, but I can let you become part of, my ranks so that you can get summoned into a war, potentially, or maybe you can get me if you're lucky. What a shitty deal. What a shitty deal. You can get a chance to get me if you do this. Gosh. That's such a shitty contract. The Grail drives one heck of a bargain.
だから英霊の契約をしたのです。
That's why I made the contract of the heroic spirits.
私の手に聖杯が握られるなら、死後は英霊となってあらゆるもののために剣を取ろうと。
That if I could obtain the Holy Grail, I would wield my sword as a heroic spirit after my death. What? Wait. Saber's had a real tough life. Remember, Rennie, the Grail wants a good show. Right. I think I remember that. Yeah, because the Grail would only summon... That's right, because 7 mages summoned it. But he'd only, the Grail would only grant himself to one person. And he wanted them to fight, or whatever. I think I loosely remember that, yeah. Grail's just a fucking dick. Dash. In her last moment, she wished for the Holy Grail's miracle. And the Holy Grail's like, psych, you can maybe have my miracle if you join one of my Grail wars. I understand how she feels. No, you don't. You don't have a wish of your own. How could you ever understand that feeling? That bloody hill. Oh, because you saw it right. You saw her dreams. You understand how she feels. I don't think you understand how she feels. You sympathize with how she feels. I do not think you understand how she feels. A grave of many swords and the many corpses of knights. A lone king whose reign ended in betrayal. Her last moment was too unfair. Even if she had no wish of her own before then, she must have thought that... her wish was to keep protecting the people. What about you, Shiro? Isn't your wish, couldn't it involve being a superhero in some way? But no, that would be too easy. You want the gratification of being that superhero, which cannot come if you do something so impersonal and don't get to see the people, their look on their faces when they get saved. I can't die here. I didn't want an end like this. So if she wishes to prolong her life, she shouldn't be embarrassed about it. But that's not her wish. That's not her wish. Isn't that I can't die here. Her wish is that she wants to keep protecting the people.
そう。つまり死後の自分を売り払ってまで聖杯を手に入れられる手段を取ったのね。
She became able to obtain the Holy Grail by selling yourself off after death.
けどセイバー、あなたの出した条件っていうのは生きているうちに聖杯を手に入れる。
But Saber, your condition was to obtain the Holy Grail while you were alive, right? Clearly not, because she didn't obtain it.
なら
then
はい。私が生きているうちに聖杯探索は成し得なかった。
I could not complete my search for the Holy Grail while I was alive.
アーサー王は最後まで聖杯を手に入れることができなかったの
I,
です。
King Arthur, could have not obtained the Holy Grail even at the very end. Wait, you were looking for the... Okay, I thought that you just had a wish that spurred into your head at the very end when you were getting fucked. The idea that you were looking for your Grail all your life... Oh, because you were given the prediction about how everything would end in betrayal. Okay, that makes sense. In which case you were looking for the Grail to prevent the inevitable betrayal you knew was coming? But it came anyways before you found it and then wished on a star and the Grail heard your call like a coying jerk being like, Tiki, you never found me, but I'll grant you your wish now. It's like, it's so cute how you looked for me all your life, but only now at your death will I grant it because I can like make use of this to make you one of my puppet heroic spirits. Something, something, something.
ですが、それでは契約が成り立ちません。
The contract cannot be completed like that.
世界が私をサーバントにするには、アーサー王が生きているうちに聖杯を与えねばならない。
For the world to obtain me as a servant, it must grant the Holy Grail while King Arthur is alive. You're technically not alive right now. I mean, do you count as alive right now as a servant? Do you count as alive? I mean, if you mean that, then you could be saying that that's all over, because even right now you weren't really King Arthur. I mean, you're certainly no king. You're a king of no one. So, you were King Arthur back then. If what you're saying is you have to travel back in time to obtain it when you were there, okay, that's not what I thought you were going for. But if you're just saying that you count as being alive under these circumstances, then I feel like you're wording it weirdly to make it purposely vague. Or maybe not purposely, but it's becoming vague. Her in-game status myth did say that only Galahad, the son of Lancelot, got the Grail, but threw it away because he was too pure. Had no wish. That's so fucked up. Even if you're pure, you can still have a wish. Pure people can have wishes. So it says that in her thing. Does it say that? Hold on. I'm looking for... Uther's loyal knight, Sir Ector. Morgana, Vivian. Lancelot did not make it to the Holy Grail. Right. And his son Galahad did obtain the Holy Grail, but abandoned it. Right. Okay. So Galahad... What if Shiro's Galahad? I don't know. Just random thoughts. Shiro seems to have been spat out by the Grail or something. Maybe. And if that's the case, then... Maybe if Galahad obtained it... No. I don't know. Is that weird? I'm not sure. Galahad has to... I feel like... I don't know. If they talk about how Galahad obtained the Holy Grail... Maybe it is just nothing. But for it to be so hard to find, yet for Galahad to have found it and that to lead to nothing... feels a bit iffy. As if Galahad should be someone somewhere somehow. Possibly. Or maybe the reason the Holy Grail... It was so easy for him to find it... is because the Holy Grail knew he had no wish... and the Holy Grail's, like, you know, cheeky like that? It states Arthur herself did not go on the search for the Grail. I think this is more based on the myth that is known to the people, though, than the actual truth. But also, if Lancelot was looking for it, then maybe that's just what Arthur meant by I never found it. Like, I had people looking for it, but I was too busy to look for it myself, that kind of thing. Anyways, it must grant the Holy Grail while King Arthur is alive.
ですから、
So,
アーサー王は聖杯を手に入れるまで死なない。いいえ、死ぬことができない。
King Arthur will not die until she obtains the Holy Grail. No, King Arthur cannot die. I think that's a bit all-encompassing. And clearly untrue, because King Arthur did die. But if you're saying as a heroic spirit, then sure. Search for that Grail. Okay, so I gotta pee real bad and stuff. King Arthur will not die until she obtains the Holy Grail. No, King Arthur cannot die. Well, I mean, you say that, but they did.
それじゃああなた、
Then you're...
はい。アーサー王と呼ばれていた私は、 死を迎える一瞬で止まっているはずです。
Yes, time stopped for me, King Arthur, at the moment of death. Sure.
時間軸から見れば私はとうに滅びているでしょう。ですがそれでは契約が果たせない。
According to the timeline, I should be already dead, but I will not be able to fulfill the contract that way. Well, I mean, your contract was to become a heroic spirit. So wait, you're saying you're not dead? I'm confused. Because at the end of Fate Zero, you got trapped inside the Grail or whatever. So is the idea that you are not a heroic spirit? The idea is that when you obtain the thing, you'll become a heroic spirit? So you got trapped in the Grail, so you couldn't obtain the Grail, except when the Grail lets you out for these wars. And then when you obtain it, you then become a heroic spirit? That's weird. I mean, I'm pretty sure heroic spirits are fuckable anyways, but, could she actually have babies?
アーサー王は死の直前でサーバントとして召喚され、
King
聖杯を
Arthur
手に入れた後、
is
死な
summoned
な
as
け
a
ればなら
spirit
ないのです。
and must die after she obtains the Holy Grail. That's so fucking back-ass words. I mean, you still have a wish, though. But she doesn't have to die. Not if my wish is for you to be a real girl. I know your wish isn't for you to be a real girl, but that could be Shiro's wish.
時間が止まってるんじゃなくて時間に止まってる状態か。
So time itself isn't stopped, but you're stopped in time, huh? Okay. I mean, she was already stopped in time because of her sword.
あなたがサーバントとして何度戦いを繰り返しても構わない。最終的には聖杯を手に入れて契約を果たすことは決まっているんだから、その
It doesn't matter how many times you repeat the fight as a servant, because the result of obtaining the Holy Grail and fulfilling your contract is determined, so... that's... No, it's not determined. Like, she has to win. Is she gonna keep getting summoned as Saber? Has she been Saber every time? Because, like, I'm pretty sure her myth goes back before the first Grail War of the 5 or whatever. So if she's been Saber any time, that's kind of... For one thing, that's kind of lame because I want to know what other Sabers could exist. But also, like, I don't know. That sounds off. Because, like, you say that it doesn't matter how many times you repeat the fight as a servant, but I think it does matter. If she's already lost 5 times, like making it to the final, she made it to the finals 4 times and lost every time, then that's pretty bad. But to me, that says that no, it's not predetermined. Like, if she'll be Saber every time, then theoretically she should win eventually, but like, it's certainly not predetermined. You could keep being in Grail Wars for eternity and never win, so...
そうです。いつかは聖杯を手に入れ、私は契約を果たす。だからこそ、英霊になる前から、いずれ英霊化が決定しているという条件で、あらゆる時代に召喚される。
You're fucking with the idea of cause and effect, and I don't like it. That's correct. Eventually, I will obtain the Holy Grail and fulfill that contract. So you're using timey-wimey bullshit. You're basically admitting that time travel is at play here. Eventually, I'll obtain the Holy Grail and fulfill the contract. That is why I can be summoned into many ages before I become a heroic spirit. But using the heroic spirit properties, because the idea that you become a heroic spirit is a given on the condition that my becoming a heroic spirit is already determined? That's so weird. That's so weird. I know she's participated in the Fate Zero War. I freaking know that, and she said as much. Or I don't know if she hasn't said directly, but she has said she's been to a previous war. But has she been to multiple previous wars? She dies when she gets the Grail because she knows she does, because that's when she becomes a heroic spirit. This just feels so ass backwards. Like, normally the heroic spirit gets summoned, but so she's saying she's not a heroic spirit. I feel like she could just have become a heroic spirit for the price that... it feels so odd to go out of their way to seed the story this way. Like, the price could have just been... she's made a heroic spirit so she can be summoned into these fights so she can potentially get the thing, instead of she's going to be summoned to these things so that she can get the thing, but getting the thing is predetermined. That's the only way she can be summoned to these things. It just seems like they're making the logic fucked up on purpose when I don't think they have to. But okay.
それはこの町の聖杯だけではありません。
Not only the Holy Grail in this town.
聖杯が手に入る可能性があるならば、私はどの戦場にも召喚される。
If there's a chance to obtain the Holy Grail, I'll be summoned to any battlefield. Okay. So you're saying... Okay. Okay. So, are you saying you have been the Saber every time? Because in that case, wow, you made it to the finals every time, it failed every time. Wow, must suck to be you. But the plot point is to make Saber a real living person. It's so arbitrary. They can just make her a real living person other ways. It feels like they're making it convoluted, and I don't think there's much of a purpose to making it convoluted. Like, so what you're saying, I feel like the idea that she did Fate Zero and fucked up and that this is her second time is already enough. The notion that she's been in every single war as the Saber each time and she will continue to be, and eventually she'll get it because it's predetermined, I feel that fights with the characterization I've come to know until now. Like, why the idea that Saber decided, you know, to go fight Assassin randomly and disobey her master's orders seems extra backwards if she knows she is eventually going to get the Grail anyways. The idea that she's going to disobey her master when she knows eventually she'll get it just seems so ass backwards. Okay, if you think I'm making it sound more convoluted than it is, then it's the game's fault for poor conveyance. Because it sounds really fucking convoluted. And it doesn't seem to make logical sense with what I know of her so far. Like, going off to fight Assassin does not make any sense if she's going to be summoned every time, and she knows she's going to be summoned every time, and eventually she will get it. Why betray Shiro like that? I don't understand. Why be so annoyed at the idea that, oh, I'm going to run out of magical energy? I mean, yes, you might want to try your best to win, but the emotional outburst just feels so... It feels off. I don't know, maybe it'll make more sense later, but right now, it doesn't feel right.
そうしていつかは聖杯を手に入れ、私の望みを叶えた時こそ、死の直前で止まっていた私の時間は進みます。
And when I eventually obtain the Holy Grail and grant my wish, my stop time shall start moving again. Great. Says if she has a chance to obtain it, it would not summon Saber in a Grail war where there is no chance for her to obtain it. I'm pretty sure it means that she'd be summoned in every Grail war. Like, unless the fucking Grail... Okay, I guess the Grail's a time-traveling device then, and knows that there's no chance of any world line existing where she could obtain it in this one, so they won't summon her in this one. That sounds so... But then all possibilities are real. I don't know, maybe they're not all real, but if they are, theoretically, because the world has to know the possibilities, which means there's a finite number of possibilities, if that notion is correct, that the Grail summons her only into wars where she could potentially win, as if the Grail knows the potentiality, but then she didn't win in Fate Zero, so there has to be a world where she did win in Fate Zero, if that notion is correct, in which case, I don't know.
アーサー王は最後の時を迎え、聖杯を手に入れた代償として、こうして英霊となるのでしょう。
King Arthur will face death and become a heroic spirit as a price for obtaining the Holy Grail. Okay. Just feels very backwards.
死の直前で覚めない夢を見ているようなものか。
So it's like having a dream you can't wake up from right before your death, huh? But it's not really your death. I mean, it is, but you're going to be becoming a heroic spirit, which has, like, responsibilities and stuff. It's not really the same thing.
今回の聖杯戦争もセイバーにとっては夢の一つ。
This Holy Grail War is just one of those dreams for Saber. Well, if it's just a dream, then we can get really dirty, right?
そして 夢から覚めるのは聖杯を手に入れた時だけ。
And you'll only be able to wake up when you obtain the Holy Grail. Okay, but now you're making something out of something that... Okay, now you're making it like her plight is obtain the Grail so that she can stop living into this cycle. But that's not even... The point is for her to get the Grail because she has the wish that she wants to be fulfilled. And so, now you're turning in... It feels like it's not just her, but others are turning into this notion that... Oh, the price is that she has to keep living in this... Ugh... But the price is that she becomes a servant afterwards. That's the price. This is not the price. Yet you're acting like this is the worst thing, that she has to obtain the thing to stop herself from living this ugly... But that's... And to you, it wouldn't even be ugly. Because, Rin, you want the fight, so... Something, grumble, grumble.
リンはシローが未熟だから私を霊体化できないと言いましたね。けれどそれは違う。私は未だ死者ではないから霊体にはなれないのです。
Oh, so that's how it works. Okay. That explains the whole Kiritsugu thing. I didn't remember the exact reasoning there, but... You said that Shiro could not turn me into a spirit form because he's inexperienced, but that's wrong. I cannot become a spirit because I have not died yet. Okay.
半端な扱いですが、これでも位置づけは聖者ですから。
I am handled differently. Oh, I'm assuming a bunch. You mean... I don't know what you're talking about as far as me assuming things, but I'm sure I'm assuming a lot of things. I'm handled differently, but I'm still classified as a living being. Okay. Sure. I feel like this game, this was the first ever Fate product. I think they set up a world and then put in a thing that was always going to contradict the world without us having a firm grasp of how the world works. I don't feel we as the audience have a firm grasp of how heroic spirits work, and I thought that was fine. I just thought it was fine to leave it as kind of ambiguous. But now this comes along and says, I'm now going to contradict a lot of your understanding of how it works. But it's the first one. Even though there's not much understanding there to begin with, I feel like you haven't scientifically quantified how the summoning works enough for this contradiction to make any kind of logical sense.
前回の聖杯戦争でも私はそうだった。
It was the same in the last Holy Grail War. And the ones before that, right? Because this is not... You're setting up yourself up for so many contradictions. You're saying you'll always keep appearing so that you can get the Grail. But now you're saying you just appeared in this one and the last one, even though you already set up that there was more than just the two just in this town? But you're saying you appeared to others in other towns? I feel like it's not jiving with its own setup rules. Saber says so as if she's apologizing. Should I just nod and wave and throw logic out the window and stop caring about trying to rationalize this? I guess because she was lying about being stuck in a physical form because I was inexperienced. Okay. I don't feel like that changes anything significant, though. You're just making it convoluted just so we can have the idea that, oh, she dies at the end, but... I mean, she's gonna become heroic spirit anyways, so it's almost like, what's the difference? Dash, dash. I don't really care about that. There's something more important that I have to ask her.
セイバー、未だ死者じゃないってどういうことだ？聖杯を手に入れるまで死なないってのは分かった。
What do you mean by you're not dead yet? I understand that you won't die until you obtain the Holy Grail, but then you just become a heroic spirit. And the heroic spirits go back to being heroic spirits after their time as servants is done generally, unless they get their wish. So, it just feels like, you know... Who cares?
話の流れから言って、アーサー王の時代からずっと生き続けてるわけじゃないってのも分かる。
From the conversation, I understand that you haven't been alive since the time of King Arthur.
けど、 そうでなかったら今のセイバーは何なんだ？
Then what are you right now?
本体の分身ってわけでもないん
You're
だ
not a copy of the real body, right? I mean, no, I'm pretty sure it's just her. Like, even if she was a copy of the real body, what matters? Then the real body is dead and she's the real body. Does it matter if she's a copy?
はい。こちらに呼び出される英霊というのは全て本体の分身のようなものですが、私はまだその位置に達していません。
Heroic spirits that are summoned are all like copies of the true body, but I have not yet reached that rank. So, you're the real thing, but you can't die, so you might as well be a copy.
聖杯を手に入れるまでは死の直前に止まったままで呼び出されている。
Until I obtain the Holy Grail, I am called in the form of myself about to die. Okay. Heroic spirits seem to be a different existence than being outright human, be it because they have no will. Okay.
リンの言った通り、アーサー王は時間という大河の上で停止している。
As Rin said, King Arthur is stopped in the river of time. Okay, I just don't really get the narrative point to all of this convolution. But okay.
私はその位置から前か後ろかに飛んで聖杯を求めた後、止まっている場所に戻っているのでしょう。
I must jump forward or backward from that position and return to that stopped point once I obtain the Holy Grail. Okay. Oh god, we have a fucking chart. I draw a diagram in my head. Well, it's Shiro, so it's not very trustworthy, but let's take a look. Okay, now that we're talking about past, present, future, I feel like this is even more seeding that there's going to be some time travel. I mean, if I wasn't already positive. The Battle of Comlan, time access, Arthur. Arthur dies. Summoned, 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 Shiro. And then she goes back once she obtains it to this point and dies and becomes a heroic spirit. But that's like a contradiction in of itself. If the idea is that she can't go into spirit form because she's not dead yet, but she can be summoned because it's inevitable that she'll get the Grail, and that's what makes her be summoned in the first place, then she should have a spirit form, because she should go back and die. I don't know, it just feels like it's a lot of convolution, and like, it's not that I don't get it, it's just, I don't get the point of all of it. Why make the big mess? If it's to seed time travel, fine, but I feel like they've seeded it enough without this. It's pretty simple once I visualize it. King Arthur is stopped at the moment before death. I mean, I get that, I just don't get why that matters. The flow of time doesn't care that she's stopped. I'm thinking of the assumption this narrative move is, of course, furthering the idea of using a wish to fuck with time, blah blah blah. Saber's the truly worst girl. Why? Because... Go for Rin, you nerds. I like Ilya or Sakura or Neko-chan. I think Saber's fine. I think she's fine. I don't see how this really affects anything. It keeps flowing and we're at the present. Okay? She jumps to each time as needed and returns to her own time after completing her duty. Okay. She obtains the Holy Grail in one of the times she visits. Her time will flow again. She will die just like the history we know today. Okay. Then heroic spirits must exist like this. Okay. You can totally smooch ghosts. Fight me. When they die, they're transferred to a place like a warehouse where time doesn't flow. Uh-huh. And they're summoned into various ages and disappear without returning. Okay. I mean, this is seeding the clear idea, like, I was unsure, you know, if they did time travel, how it would work, but I feel like they're seeding the clear idea that it works on a looping theory, You know, the theory that, well, if you went back in time and are your own grandpa, then you were always your own grandpa. You never weren't your own grandpa. So, if the idea is that the Grail can fuck with time like that, then my assumption is that Shiro, we still don't know why he's even part of this war. Someone must have made a summoning circle for him that he didn't even activate on his own. My assumption is, at this point, is that he made that summoning circle by going back to the past at some point, because he himself is a heroic spirit, and that's how he's able to mangle with time, I would suppose. And at some point he has to go back and make this for himself, but it works out because time works on the looping theory of something, something, something. Ugh. And they're summoned into various ages and disappear without returning, so that must be what they mean by heroic spirits being a copy. Okay. Doesn't really matter if they're a copy, though. If the real version exists, the copy... yeah. It doesn't really matter if they're a copy if there's also a real version that also gets to exist, and... I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I don't know, it depends on... I think what Saber's been doing this whole time, even though it leads into this, I think this is Saber dodging the question, because she's not answering the question of what her wish is. Because she clearly has a wish, and I think I know what the wish is, but she's been, you know, dodging the question of, oh, I must get the Grail because I'm in this weird cycle. Like, she's admitting to that to dodge the question of what her wish actually is, I think. And if that's the case, fine, but I feel like you're spending the narrative is spending a lot of time on this detour if it's just for the purpose of her dodging the question. And I don't think it is just for the purpose of her dodging the question, but that's what it feels like. Yeah, exactly. Better confuse them with convoluted time bullshit. It's like a clone made from their DNA. The heroic spirit that has complete abilities and memories of when it was alive will appear in this world and learn many things, but it is useless. Okay. They have no way to return to the main body, but merely disappear, unless they grant their wish, which is to become corporeal and become a real person, so the clone would be a real person. But if they're a clone, I guess that does add to, you know, wanting to become a real person, so they stop being clone. In which case, there's an also real heroic spirit archer that is separate from, assumedly, the archer who won Fate Zero Grail War and I guess became a real person, possibly, if that's the goal of all clones. Unless he was also special, because Archer seems like he's special. This Archer, unlike last Archer, I don't know. Unless last Archer was also special, because Saber's special, and this Archer seems to be special. So some people seem to be special, but I don't know. No matter how many times they're summoned into the same age, there will be no inconsistencies in their memories. Okay. I assume the ones that become heroic spirits will not change anymore. Sure. I mean, I think I get the idea. I don't know. Even if they obtain new knowledge, that self that learns it will just disappear. But then there'll also be another self that gets the knowledge anyways. Okay, I think that's fair. That does explain the whole, well, why does Saber know about the Fate Zero War? Because theoretically, maybe these servants have been summoned into other wars and other timelines or something, or in previous timelines, or all over the place. In previous time periods. Did I say previous timelines? But they none of them have a connection with each other or remember each other because they're just clones of the... I suppose that makes sense. In that regard, Saber isn't a complete servant. She's not complete because she's not a clone, but if she was a clone, she still wouldn't be complete. She would just be a clone, where she's her real self, but when she becomes a complete servant, she could never get summoned here because it would just be a clone. So to know the real her, she has to be incomplete? Saber returns to her own time even after she is summoned. To the self that is about to die on that bloody hill. Unless you use your wish to prevent that from happening.
待った。
If the Grail would even let that happen, because what about conflicting wishes? Because, you know, Saber, like, had a contract with the Grail. Can that contract be broken by Shiro's wish? Or has it become unbreakable now that it's, you know, now that because it's based on a contract or something.
じゃあ何？今回聖杯を手に入れたら元の時代に戻ってその時代で聖杯を使うってこと？
Then what? You're gonna take it back to your time and use it if you obtain the Holy Grail? That would create some kind of time paradox for sure.
それって過去の改ざんじゃない。時間旅行にしても平行世界の運営にしてもそれは魔法の領域よ。そんなのできるわけがないわ。
That's altering the past. Time travel and management of parallel universes is sorcery. Parallel universes. Oh, parallel universes give me life. There's no way you'll be able to do that. Well, now that you've seeded it, I'm sure it's possible.
それを可能とするのが聖杯でしょう。
But the Holy Grail allows me to do this. Okay. Still feels weird how you got it in the first place. I mean, how you set this whole thing up. Because, like, once you get it, if you use it for some wish that changes what we know of the present, then timelines will shift. But if that's the case, then we can't be working on a looping theory. Now you're doing both at once. If you do both at once, that's gonna bug me. Like, either going back in time branches off to a different timeline, or it's a looping. When you try to mix the two, I feel that's when you fuck up time travel stories. Because, like, if the idea is, well, she's inevitably gonna get the Grail, but if she gets it, she changes time and we go to a different branch, and this could never happen, which means we can't be doing a looping theory. But I feel like you have to be doing a looping theory for the... It just feels like... I don't know. I feel like they're fucking it up. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but it feels like they're looping and they're branching, and I feel like you can't loop and branch at the same time. The Holy Grail allows me to do this.
そうして聖杯さえ使えるのならば、私はサーバントとなってもいいと契約したのです。
I made a contract that I would become a servant if I can use the Holy Grail. She said she made a contract with the world. Sure, what the fuck is the world? What does that even mean? What do you mean I make a contract with the world? Hey world, don't let me die? Like the spirit, the core of the world? Like, what's that even mean? It just feels confusing. Made a contract that I would become a servant if I can use the Holy Grail.
聖杯を使うことでアルトリアという人物が消え去ろうとも今の私が英霊となることを代償として
The price being becoming a servant, even if it means the elimination of the person called Artoria. I feel like maybe the idea is that the Grail works on a looping timeline, but the world, if that's something different, works on a branching time, and they use different times and they conflict with each other. That would be a mess of a system. Saber talks without much interest. Because she doesn't need to be interested, because it's inevitable. Fate, predestined. It does fit with Archer or whoever that had Archer's sounding voice, if that was Archer before Archer talked to Saber being like, you are predestined to be betrayed, if she was also predestined to eventually get the Grail and die, but not die, because she could but she would die, but she could do something with the Grail that would involve not dying, and bring her people back and then guard them as a heroic spirit, but that would create a branch and make a different timeline. But if it's inevitable that she gets the Grail, then there has to be an inevitable also existing alternate timeline, even though I feel like we're already looping. And that itself, the inevitable also existing alternate timeline has to in itself be part of the loop, which means there's got to be more than just the one inevitable. It's like it's all inevitable, but it's also branched and looped. But at a certain point, if it is inevitable, then I feel like if there is some true ending we can find based on time travel, I feel like that in itself has to be inevitable if everything's inevitable. Because then how else do we break the chain of inevitability? With the Grail? How would that make sense? The Grail seems to be based on the inevitable principle. I said princess for a second. The world destroys illusions because it's a fake. Oh, well, yeah, it's true. The copies would, the world, yeah, Rin did say the world destroys copies to make it, to make it so that nothing tomfuckery happens. So the copies would inevitably be destroyed. The copy summoned by the Grail would be destroyed when the Grail War is over, and the Grail can't So the Grail's potentially more powerful than the world, but the world is, takes hold when the Grail's deed is done. So, it's weird. There's the world and there's the Grail, and I feel like the Grail is stronger than the world, but the world's still pretty strong and omnipresent, but the Grail only shows up every now and then, maybe? But the world was able to grant access to the Grail, but maybe the world was able to give, like, a backdoor entrance for Saber to potentially get the Grail, but that doesn't mean the world was strong enough if the world was strong enough to just give the Grail to Saber. Are they, like, separate entities? If they're the same thing, I feel like that doesn't really... does the world hate the Grail because it's summoning a copy? Maybe. That's weird. Saber talks without much interest. But that's strange. Making a wish come true using the Holy Grail, that's fine. I mean, it should be. But why did she say Ortoria would disappear as a result? Because she would just become a spirit. She would become a guardian person. She wouldn't really be a person anymore, and if she ever got summoned, it would be a copy, not a real person. And you could always make that person into a corporeal person to live a second life for the copy to be real, and you could, like, bang the copy, so it makes sense the copies would just want to have become real, and that's all they would want, because any other wish would not serve the heroic spirit in question. But the world isn't all powerful because Shiro has made illusions and killed Herc with a fate sword. Right, the world kills illusions, but Shiro said fuck the illusions. But I think that's because Shiro is some fucked up thing that manifested from the Grail. I think the Grail is more powerful than the world, is what we're saying here. And Shiro was able to do that because he's some weird offspring of the Grail, I think, is the idea. And so, the Grail is stronger than the world, and the world wants to kill the Grail? Maybe the Grail's ultimate goal is to kill the world? I fucking don't know. It's just weird to talk about these things as if they have their own conscience. Like, talking about the Grail as if it has its own conscience is already kind of weird. But talking about the world as if, yes, the Earth itself has this thought process, it just seems odd.
なんだよそれ。聖杯を使うことでアルトリアが消える。
What are you talking about? Arteria
ふざける
will,
なよ、そんなの。
will disappear when she uses the Holy Grail? Don't mess around! Oh, because you don't want her to disappear. But I feel like that's been a given from the start, unless you didn't understand that, unless Rin never explained that once they get their, if they don't get their wish, they just leave. Okay, I don't know if this, get Fate or Stay Night, if there was another game from the same creator or whatever before that's the same world, but it doesn't matter. This is the first Fate game, and so I hope it can explain all of its own bullshit within this game. You can have nice, cute tie-ins, whatever, but, be self-contained, please. Don't make me need to read up on some other visual novel from the same game to understand things happening in this game. Anyways...
Saber, お前は自分を
Saber, are you just realizing this? That Saber's going to disappear? Maybe because I always knew from Fate Zero that wasn't really a surprise to me, but I thought it was a given that when the war ends, like, if their wish doesn't come true, they just disappear. If their wish does come true, I mean, I assume, like, unless it's to make themselves a body, which I guess it's generally going to be make themselves a body now, from my understanding, they'll disappear as well. I feel like a floating cup having a will isn't as weird as the world that we're living on having a will, if I'm being honest, but... That girl about to die quietly, alone on that hill. Right. Right, okay, I guess that's why it hits home more with Shiro. That it's not that's not that she experienced that in the distant past. Okay, I guess that does matter for her character personality. It's not that she is from a distant past. That's true. She's just about to die on the hill. So, yeah, that is kind of weird. She's just about to die on the hill, which means she actually isn't necessarily weird. I was thinking, oh, she's 1,000 years old. It'd be weird for her to bang Shiro. So it's less weird now. I'd already sort of gotten on board with it, her being 1,000 and banging him anyway. But I guess she's not 1,000. I don't think that... I think, given the circumstances, banging her is no less weird, but... whatever. I can understand the sympathy for her being the girl about to die on the hill and that being more fresh for her, but...
自分を救うために聖杯を使うんじゃないのかよ。
Not gonna use the Holy Grail to save yourself? I feel like, yeah, that's what she said, and that's the kind of person she is, that's been evident from the start, but... you, of course, hate that idea because you fantasize about her and you want her to be a real girl, so you can use the Grail to save her. I mean, you know, is this going to give you motivation to actually fight beyond self-defense?
なぜそのようなことを言うのです、シロ。
What do you mean, Shiro? She already gave up herself so that she could use the Grail. She has a wish she wants granted. And that involved, you know, she gave up her life in order to grant it. But if you hate that so bad, you can use your wish to stop that from happening. But you still haven't comprehended that as a notion because you're so slow.
私の望みは国を滅びから救うことだけなのですが。
My only desire is to save my country from ruin. But if it's predetermined that you get the Grail in the past, then it's time paradox. So are we just saying that that's inevitable? That a time paradox is in itself inevitable? Usually when we talk about inevitability, time paradoxes are like that. That's so weird. So we know the timeline we're living in is destined to have an alternate reality because you're destined to get the Grail eventually based on what you're saying. And if you get the Grail and save your country, and if that actually happens, there has to be an alternate timeline, which is so weird. What? I can sense that my face is frozen. Oh, I guess that's the first time she's actually said that. My only desire is to save my country from ruin. Uh-huh. Just like you, Shiro. She just wants to save other people. But because you love her, you want her to save herself. So you can save her. Boom. Big brain moment, Shiro. Unless Saber changes her mind, that fixes the timeline. I'm going to be honest. I hate shit like that. I really hate shit like that. Where they bring up this idea of, well, the time paradox must be real. But then when we actually get to the point of, you know, oh, but then she chooses not to because of her character development in this game, which makes it so that it was never a time paradox in the first place. I fucking hate shit like that. I'm going to be honest. I hate the, oh, well, it happened this way because if it didn't happen this way, it would have been a paradox, even though it seemed like it was going to be a paradox. But then it didn't become a paradox because my motivation changed. Because it brings up the idea, well, if you, what, does that mean your motivation changing is also predetermined? It's like, I don't know. Personally, predetermined stuff in general bugs me, but that especially is the kind of thing that would bug me. I should already have realized this, but my mind is spacing out and I feel like throwing up. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. I mean, you can. It's just harder. But like, Shiro, come on. Do we really need this epic song to play right now? I mean, I guess you're having the realization that Saber's like this, but I felt like it was evident that Saber was like this for the whole time. And so, like, you having a wish to make her a real girl, if she's not going to do it, I feel like is the obvious step. I didn't even realize that most servants, I hadn't comprehended, I don't know if Fate Zero made this clear, but I hadn't comprehended that they were just copies, and so their only destiny is to fade away if they don't wish for themselves to be made real. But now that I understand that, I guess it could be argued that if Shiro knew that, which I don't think he did, then he might have just assumed Saber was going to wish for herself to be corporeal. But now that he's understanding that, I suppose it makes sense that he gets mad at the prospect of her not doing that, but then that can just be your wish, because you don't have one anyways. You can just have your wish to make her corporeal or whatever, even if it's just a copy, because her real self is going to go back in time, but you could keep a copy in the present, because after all, at that point, she'll become a spirit because of predestined blah blah. Timey-wimey bullshit. Why? But still, I force my question out.
なぜも何もないでしょう。
It's obvious.
私は国を守れなかった。 国を守るために王となったのに、その責務を果たせなかった。
I could not protect my country. I became king to protect the country, but I could not fulfill that duty. Would a superhero wish to only save one person? Shiro's not a fucking superhero. That's not his real motivations. He's found someone he likes. He definitely would want to save them. Like, he hasn't even come up with his own wish. If he was a real hero, he would have thought of a wish to save people in general, and then there might be an actual conflict between person I like or whole world. But there's no conflict because he's not a real hero. Anyways. I mean, there's conflict now because he's dumb and doesn't realize that wishing for her to be a real girl is a real thing he could wish for because he's stupid. But it's kind of artificial conflict. Aren't you saying that Shiro should force her to stay in the world against her will? That depends. It's fine if she makes a copy. If it can clone her and send the clone back in time to do whatever the fuck, but keep this version here and say, don't worry, it's taken care of, I feel like Saber would be okay with that. It's complicated, but if she can comprehend the idea that there's a clone that went back in time and did it, I think she would learn to be okay with that because she likes Shiro so much, especially at this point. It depends, though, if the Grail is actually able to do that. If the Grail does say, no, you either stay in the past or the present, then there's a real dilemma, but I don't think it would say that because the Grail's we've already went over now how the Grail just makes copies. The Grail's so good at copies, and if that's the case, I think you can just make another copy, especially if she's predestined to become a holy servant. So, I don't think there'd be a big problem. Yes, she's not a clone though, but she'll go back in time and inevitably make herself part of the Holy Spirit thing, we know the Grail can make clones, so I don't think it's a big ask. I could not protect my country. I became king to protect the country, but I could not fulfill that duty. This does change my thoughts on her character, actually. I haven't really had time to comprehend, fully let this sink in, but this whole time I thought she was like 1,000 years old, and mentally she is not 1,000 years old. Are you saying he should wish for a clone? Yes! Exactly! He's a fucking selfish individual that wants Saber. Just follow that selfish desire and make a clone Saber. Doesn't feel complicated to me. I feel like letting Saber go back without doing anything about it is just gonna make Shiro super fucking depressed anyway. And he didn't have a wish anyway, because he's a fucked up individual. At least this might give him some happiness. Anyways. I cannot fulfill that duty.
その時に思ったのです。
I thought at that time,
岩の剣は間違えて私を選んでしまったのではないかと。
perhaps the sword chose me by mistake, but you should have already known that it was predestined. But okay, this is different though. This is different. I have to readjust my mindset. She's not someone who's been through thousands of, hundreds of years. She's still that same girl on the hill. She's the same person. She's not aged. That just happened to her. I have to click that in my head. And that's going to take some time to readjust, I think. It's not going to happen in this stream. I'll try to readjust off stream to all the ramifications of what that means, but... Perhaps the sword chose me by mistake. But... That's stupid! Why?
いえ、その迷いは常に私の中にありました。
I always had such doubts.
私は王にふさわしくないのではないか。
That I might not be the right king. But you still pulled the sword anyway. You still went for the pull. I guess kind of like how Shiro's all like, I'm gonna be a superhero, but he's not really a hero. It's not the same thing, but it's kind of the same thing, but it's not the same thing, but it's kind of the same thing.
本当に選ばれるべき英雄は他にいたのではないのかと。
There was another hero who should have been chosen. I'm sure if multiple timelines exist, there was, but
あの時、政権を抜いてしまった時、国を救えなかった私より、国を救えたはずのふさわしい王がいたはずです。
At that time, when I pulled the sword out, there must have been a suitable king who would have been able to save the country I could not. Yup. There's that self-loathing.
だから、もし聖杯の力で王の選定をやり直すことができるなら、
Oh, that's what your
その
wish
時
would
に戻れば
be?
きっと
Oh, never mind. You're fucked. You're fucked. If I could redo the selection of the king using the power of the Holy Grail, then... No! You were a great king! No! You're gonna go... So you're not even gonna go back to the moment of your death? You're gonna go back to before that? To change the king? You were a great king. The only problem with you was you didn't have, I think, good people around you that you let give you motivation. I think, yes, you weren't the perfect king, but you're gonna have a hard time finding a better one, I think. You're more likely than not just to create a war that things go to shit earlier. The fact that you did 10 good years, yes, I think someone could potentially do better, but it's like such a slim chance that trying to do that would just fuck everything up, probably. Is she gonna summon the male version herself, and that's why everyone thinks she's a male? That would be double fucked. But that wouldn't make sense, because that we are all... We think of her as a male, so... Hold on. That would be triple fucked. If what you're saying... Okay, that's an interesting idea. The idea that her country... Oh god. So, the idea... I don't think that's quite what they're saying, but it would be interesting if there was a King Arthur, and King Arthur is male, because she changes the selection and makes another person the king. That would... And if everything's inevitable, then everything would go to shit anyways. And that's the legend we know today, is the version of that male king. Which means that you are from another timeline, if that's to be believed. It's not that we're in a timeline that's going to be shifted. You're from that other timeline where things went to shit. Which means they go to shit anyways. Which would be super sucky. You're basically dying for nothing. But at this point, it's inevitable you're dying for nothing. And maybe it was always inevitable that you die for nothing because time travel doesn't work that way in this universe? Or does it? I don't know. It feels like they've firmly established the looping theory, but I'm not sure. If they have established the looping theory, and the idea is that her wish is inevitably stupid, and that branching could never work, and whatever branch they make, this is the inevitable branch we ended up on, that would be all kinds of fucked up. And maybe the instant that she wished for the Grail to let her obtain the Grail to save her country, she automatically shifted onto this world, because at the moment of wishing for it to happen, it became reality that she would inevitably get the Grail and go back in time. But we're already in the world that she fixed, and she got like a male person to be actually a male King Arthur, but it still went to shit anyways. No, they haven't fully established the looping theory. It just... The reason I think of the looping theory is because of my own... I don't know. There's a lot of things I feel like that point to the idea of the looping theory. I could just be misconstrued, but I feel like if it is the looping theory, then that would be such a tragedy. In which case, discovering that it's the looping theory and breaking from that, if that's the ultimate true ending of the game, then I'm all for that. Keeping her here instead of sending her to the past to make it inevitable. But then sending her to the past has to be inevitable. That makes it inevitable. If it's true that there's another alternate timeline where she already jumped forward, and thus this is already in the new timeline, then her going back has to happen, or this timeline never exists. But it has to exist because she's here. That's the kind of fun time travel, fuckery that I could get behind, potentially. But, because it's tragic and I love it. But, I don't know if that's what they're going for. She would want a male because she may think if there was no gossip of her being female that led to the downfall, if she was a male, then her knights may not betray her. But it would go to shit anyways, because she was a super good king. And yes, her being female definitely led to rumors, and her having to cut off her emotions did lead to problems. But, problems are always going to happen with most people. No human is really fit for that role properly. And those who think they do are generally the ones who are not fit for it. So, the ones who think they aren't, but then think they... I don't know, there's a line somewhere. The point is that getting a good king is very, very hard. Not impossible, but very, very hard. And the idea that you think someone could have done a better job than you, when I think you did a pretty good fucking job, is super fucked. I thought the idea is that you wanted to go back and fix things at the moment of around the time you died, and that fix things from there and make it so they didn't get any worse, or make it so people didn't betray you, like maybe only go back a little bit. The idea you want to go back the whole way and erase your history as being a king because you think you... Oh, that is so self-hating. Oh my god. And she's trying to comfort Shiro. Oh, no, you know, she is like fucking Shiro. I was gonna say that I don't think Shiro's actually quite like her, but I thought that she was like a wise 1,000-year-old whatever. No, she's still just a fucking teenage fucking idiot. She's pointing out Shiro's insecurities, same way Shiro's pointing out her insecurities. It's not like that she's on some surpassed level who understands. She's gonna go back and fucking... God, that's the same. Shiro inevitably, I think, wants to go back and change the fire and stop that from happening. But like, and that's... I thought she had moved a little bit past that, but this is... I don't know if she made that clear and I forgot, or if she never made that clear in Fate Zero that was the idea behind her wish. But God, that's such a fucked wish. Who knows, maybe a male king could be a great peace king, but a mad war king, and then, you know, they get fucked anyways. I mean, I feel like Shiro's wish seems to be going back and, God, that would be fucked. Go back and make it so that he saves someone else because Shiro doesn't think he was worth saving? Oh, I would at least hope that it would be, you know, stop the fire from happening, find out why it happened, stop people from dying. That would be the hero's wish. The person who just is a death seeker that wants to die and maybe can't because they have some weird immortal body, stopping them from being picked by Kiritsugu would be another, you know. Jeez. Saber, I was wrong. You also need to be saved by my penis. Because I thought that me breaking you out of your shell and opening you back up to romance I thought that was a big step in saving you. But I feel like that's such a small step now. It feels so small in hindsight. It felt huge that she was accepting her sexuality and the romance aspect. But God, in hindsight, knowing that she was just 20-something and that this is her ultimate wish, it just feels so minor in comparison. It feels like the success is so minimal now. It doesn't even matter. Everyone's a fucked up teenager. I thought Saber was fucked because she had rejected her emotions and that's what made her so fucked, and Shiro was saving her from her shell. But no, she's still so fucked anyways. Then what? Does she mean to say that her country would not have been destroyed if she returned to that time? I feel like if you only go back a little bit, maybe. But if you mean you want to go back the whole way and make it so you were never the king, that's so fucked. That's so fucked. Dash. God. Fucking Archer told her that she was predestined to go to the treachery. Is that because somehow Shiro is Archer Shiro from the future? But then Archer, and then Shiro goes back in time because of Saber, because Saber wants to change it. So Shiro going back in time to tell Saber not to do it is predestined because Shiro is Archer? I don't know if I believe that, but it's an interesting thought process based on another crack theory I already had. Dash. That makes it a loop. It's like a loop of Shiro becoming Archer and telling Saber not to do it, and then Saber telling Shiro not to do it, and then Archer becoming Saber and telling Saber not to do it, and it's inevitable and never ends because she goes back, does it again. The wish comes true. She goes back, does it again. If it's a resetting timeline that's not based on branches, just resetting, it could be we're living in an infinite loop that never ends because Saber keeps thinking she's not worthy and going back in time and changing something. And maybe Archer becoming epic in the other timeline because we know there's two timelines because just to go back and things have to change. Maybe Archer becomes an epic god in the other timeline and Rin, because of the time discrepancy, summons someone from the other timeline. And so Archer inevitably is like Shiro or something, or maybe not, but Archer goes back and warns Saber, who ends up, is Archer king from the other timeline. Archer is the other king, and it's fucked, and goes back and tells Saber, but then Saber goes back and tells Archer or something, and they keep swapping in an endless time loop that never goes anywhere? All the crack theories are coming together! It's the never-ending story! More of the story, everyone's fucked. No matter how much you want to help each other, you'll make things worse. Oh, jeez. I said before I thought Archer was somehow from an alternate timeline, and that's how nobody knows that he's like an epic, awesome person. And this is almost making me believe it more. It could be that Saber inevitably goes back in time, and that... crack theory enlightenment. If Saber goes back in time and changes things, maybe it's that King Arthur... Under that aspect, Archer would be King Arthur. But it would be the male King Arthur, if we're going to go along that theory. And that Archer would have pulled the sword from the stone after Saber goes back. That's a little confusing. I don't think that would quite work. Because I was thinking, what if Saber goes back and makes Archer pull the sword from the stone and Archer is just King Arthur? I don't think it's that simple because nobody seems to recognize Archer's powers. And if Archer is King Arthur, people would recognize King Arthur's powers. Unless she goes back and tells Archer, or doesn't tell Archer, but Archer becomes the other king in the other timeline and becomes epic badass in that timeline, which means it's not this timeline, which means it's not looping, it's branching. Which means Archer could become the epic king in that timeline. Maybe not King Arthur, or maybe yes, King Arthur. I don't know. Depends on if they... he might have a different name. But he would still be the king, and he gets called into this time because of the timey-wimey shenanigans. Even though nobody knows him, he's basically King of England from another timeline. And so maybe the Saber he knows is different than this Saber. And he doesn't know about what transpired later. Because he went off and, I don't know, didn't amount to anything special or died some dumb death. But then maybe in the timeline where Saber has Archer become a king, it's different. And that's when he becomes all cynical, because he has aspirations and hopes. But then he shows her a projection of how it's going to be fucked. So what if he goes back... I don't know, I'm confusing myself now. I don't think Archer would be male King Arthur, because he would be the universe King Arthur, then everyone would fucking know him even... Yeah, I know, you're right. It's an interesting idea, but it doesn't really jive with what we've come to know of Archer. I feel faint. I'm quickly surpassing mere anger that Saber would seriously wish for such a thing. I mean, what if Archer did have Excalibur and we never saw it? He just pulled it out against Berserker. But what if it was a different Excalibur? What if... You're right, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, but, like, you know, shut up. It was a cool idea. Maybe it's like in a different timeline, he becomes king. He's not necessarily Arthur. He could be King Arthur, in theory, in a different timeline, but he likely wouldn't take on the name Arthur. I don't know. Like, is the Arthur a name, or is it a title? Yeah. But he apparently did a bunch of killing in a bunch of different ways, so I think he's good at a lot of things. Anyways, I'm quickly surpassing mere anger that Saber would seriously wish for such a thing. Still in the theory that Archer was a random knight, but you can apply this random time BS to this theory. Yes, he is a random knight, but he became epic badass and became the king in the other timeline when Saber inevitably goes back and has someone else choose. And that makes Archer the king, but he also has a shitty time because he becomes cynical. Maybe. But no, the thing that fucks with that is that he is the one who gave Saber the prediction of how things would get fucked. So, I don't know. I guess I'm dumbfounded right now. Hey, that's actually kind of accurate. For once, I'm in line with Shiro. It's only natural. Oh, fuck, is that the time? I just looked at the time. Have we been going for that long? Holy shit. Time flies when you're crack theorying. Saber's wish is not for herself, and on top of that, it means her elimination. She wants to erase herself from the timeline. She doesn't ever want to be anyone important. The girl in front of me exists because that holy sword was there and because a king pulled it out. Uh-huh. Preventing that would mean that the girl in front of me would not exist. So in order to make her exist, you have to not get the Grail. But no, if you don't get the Grail, she's just going to get the Grail later because you know it's inevitable. You have to get the Grail and make the wish now to make her be a real girl, or not do that, or it's not even enough to make a copy, because if you make a copy, she'll get erased from existence. Or will she? How does this time work? Ugh. Preventing that would mean that the girl in front of me would not exist. Let's say she grants her wish using the Holy Grail. The girl Artoria, never becoming king, would live out her days as a knight. Would that be any better? I mean, she wouldn't have the responsibility. But that's the thing, she hates herself. Okay, yeah, it's the fucking self-loathing. She hates herself and doesn't care if she has a shitty life. She just doesn't want everyone else to have a shitty life because she became a king. So... Jeez. It is like Shiro. It's different. It's not the god. It's not the same exact thing, of course, but like... It's like she doesn't even care if she... It's not even about giving herself a better life. She just thinks, well, of course I'll have a better life if I'm not king, because I suck. That is like Shiro. Jeez. But what about the saber in front of me? I mean, I assume she would disappear unless you make a wish to make her stay, but even if you do, it's just a copy, and I feel like even then... Oh... Yeah, if she doesn't become king, those 10 years of peace are shorter. Way shorter. Like, that was quite an achievement. 10 years to be that great? Like, whoever she chooses is gonna fuck it up way harder. And it's like she's doing all this, she's going through all this to make a situation that's probably just gonna be fucking worse. So fucked. As she's a heroic spirit, she'll continue to be summoned to fight after her wish is granted. But she'll be a copy when she becomes a spirit. Since she paid a price to obtain the Holy Grail, Saber will continue to be, even if Artoria doesn't become a king. Uh-huh. Wait, unless I'm thinking in reverse. Unless instead of Archer... Oh, what? God. Oh, that would be so fucking weird. Instead of it being that in another timeline, she makes Archer become the king. What if it's like triple layered? What if it's like the original timeline has Archer becoming the king, but then he ends up realizing that it doesn't work, and so he makes a contract with the Grail to change the king, and he changes the king, or says he doesn't want to change the king, he just wants to live a different life and not become the king. And so that's how he's able to show to Saber, this is what awaits you. It's to be, killed or whatever. Because he went through the same thing already. And so she becomes the second universe king. King Arthur becomes the second universe. And she wants to change it again and make a third universe where someone else is king. Where Archer has already been king. But he's a different timeline. That's why nobody knows of him. Because he erased his own timeline. And Saber's wanting to erase her own timeline. Is that the idea? Because it's like... Saber will be a fucking fake force to serve humanity for the rest of existence. She's not even King Arthur anymore. A fake being that can't even enjoy a normal life. She's just Saber. Just like how it feels like Archer is just Archer. Maybe there is some similarity there. Where Archer was the original king, but he changed things because he thought, no, it didn't work out. But then Saber's just destined to do that too. And this does feel like Archer is in his mature years. As if, he's kind of like Kiritsugu, how Kiritsugu was like, afterwards he settled down, as if Archer wants world peace. But then, it's like Archer already did erase history. But if he became a heroic spirit, and that's the thing, then he's inevitably always going to want world peace. Because maybe he came to realize through getting the Grail and switching it, that he came to realize that it was inevitable and that it was a bad idea and that he shouldn't have tried to fix the past and only focus on fixing the future. And that's why he's able to give advice to Shiro, maybe, because he also used to want to, because he is like Saber to an extent. And so he wanted to fix, and if Archer's kind of like Shiro, then Archer's kind of like Saber. And so he wanted to fix the past and erased himself from memory or whatever. And so, but he realized at the end that even though that was inevitable, he didn't want that. But only at the end, but it became inevitable, so he had to take that. So now he just wants world peace as a heroic spirit forever doomed to only want world peace? But only getting that if he gets his wish come true in some timeline? You shouldn't be focusing on what ifs. It's bad for her health. It doesn't care about her health. Yeah. Was the timeline changing made him cynical because Camelot still fell even after his wish? Well, at that point he becomes a heroic spirit and he's just a copy, right? That could definitely make him cynical, though. So instead of wishing for the past to be saved, he could just wish for general peace. I think that is the next step. Gosh. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. I think I want to stop here. I think I want to stop for the day. I think I went longer than I wanted to. A lot of theorizing. I feel like it's not a great beat, but it's a big revelation. Finding out her wish. Really finding out her wish. I thought I knew her wish. I guess I didn't fully comprehend her wish. Saber, your wish is dumb. The others not having a wish is better than your self-erasing wish. And here I found the people with the worst wish. She's got the worst wish. Like, jeez. Like, and I thought not having a wish was dumb. God. Archer's maybe just resigned to his fate at this point and is just falling back on his old morals for his wish. But that would be extra fucked. Because he's just a copy, and he knows he's going to erase himself, but if he makes world peace, that could be something. Assuming he's a copy, because, you know, most servants should, in theory, just want themselves to become corporeal, because they're just copies, unless they're truly selfless, which I think I could argue, you know, Archer is, if he wants a world peace, knowing that he'll be just erased anyways, because he's just a copy. Wow. 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 Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here. For now, we'll continue this on Friday. And then I'd like to keep making Monday, Wednesday, Friday normal. We should be good for next Monday. Okay. I'll see you guys next time on Face Stay Not Blind. Saber's wish is really fucked. Saber is truly lawful good. Stop recording. Still don't have an outro phrase. Bye, people.